following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Florida.
It was a soggy and strange 2 days in New York, but the Fish went 3-1 on the trip and return home to the sun and the fun of Miami. Hey, there's been a Cubs spotting. Yes, we can confirm a Chicago Cubs spotting for a 2-game series. Ricky Nolasco will welcome in the team that drafted and traded him, Marlins and Cubs. Back home in South Florida. Look at the sun over Miami. Sun Life Stadium. Marlins are back home for a 5-game homestand. 2-game series. The Cubs are in town. Gabby Sanchez, Alfonso Soriano, everybody getting ready as the Marlins and the Cubs meet. It's a brief 2-game series. The Marlins won 3 of 4 on the road trip as Ricky Nolasco gets set to face his old organization. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Ball club has some momentum, you feel like, coming into this homestand.
Yeah, a sweep in New York against the Mets, albeit a one-game sweep. But I think when you play well on the road, the Marlins went 3-1 on the road trip. It's a good feeling, and I think just the nice weather upon our return home, I think that gives you a little charge, too.
It is amazing to many in baseball, and I think many that follow this team, that the Marlins have the second-best record in the National League, and they're doing it essentially without Hanley Ramirez's bat right now. Tell me what's up with Hanley's swing.
You know, we've kind of belabored the point, but he has struggled. He's trying to find his comfortable zone in the batter's box. He's 0 for his last 16. He showed some signs, got a couple of hits early on in Washington. It's just one of those times. It's just a tough time for Hanley Ramirez. Starlin Castro, the 21-year-old shortstop for the Chicago Cubs, could throw a little something extra at Hanley. Say, hey, let's get going. Because Hanley's looking over and he's seeing this youngster hitting .327. He also saw Jose Reyes in New York. Troy Tulowitzki with the Rockies having a very good year. Hanley's going to take a page out of the Burke Badenhop hitting book. See it and hit it. That's what Hopper told him to do.
I thought you were going to say he's going to borrow Chris Volstad's bat. That worked as well for the Hopper. Let's talk about pitching in this one. A familiar face, a great guy, a great Marlin. He's been a pretty good Cub as well. Ryan Dempster goes for the Cubs.
Always one of our favorites when he was a Marlin. 121 career starts as a Marlin. He also, for a time, for 3 years, was a closer with the Cubs. He's back in that starting role. He's pitched well in his career against his former team.
Ricky Nolasco thought he would be a Cub. Drafted, but then traded to the Marlins before he got to the big league.
Drafted in the 4th round, came up in the Cubs organization, a winner, always put together winning seasons. He's winning again at this level, 3-0. Off to a good start is Ricky Nolasco.
Nolasco, Dempster, Marlins, Cubs. Rain out last night. Emails tonight. It's an email Wednesday. And when we return, we'll hear from Hanley Ramirez himself. Great look. John Buck, Ricky Nolasco, Randy St. Clair getting ready. Marlins and Cubs. Let's start things out with Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine. Guys?
All right, thank you very much, Rich Waltz. Hanley Ramirez moved to number 2 in the batting order. The game Monday night, how do you think that might play out for him? Could it help him?
Well, I mean, you're trying to look for anything right now to give a little spark, a little jump start. When a player of his stature starts a little bit of a slide, it gets into your head, you start trying things, and then you start kind of unraveling, and you get deeper and deeper in a hole and further away from where you want to be. I mean, I've done it before. Every hitter's done it. So he's just got to find those tips to get back to simple.
Intentional walk in front of him the other day. Hanley grounded out. His thoughts on that?
I would have pushed to myself, too. So what can I say? You know, righty to righty. And they know that I'm not swinging pretty good right now. They say let's pitch to him. I don't want my team to just be thinking about me, what I've been doing wrong when we doing pretty good right now. So they know that I try hard and I do whatever every day I get, you know, my work in to improve, you know. But it's still, we got a long way to go. They're just missing a little bit, you know, just missing a little bit. And everything's gonna turn around soon, sooner or later. Everything's gonna turn around, and you know, Hanley's gonna be back.
Jeff, if he was on your couch and you were the psychologist, it seems like you have to like at least the way he's trying to deal with his mentally, at least publicly, as you saw there. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, like his teammates have been seeing the work ethic. He's been trying, I mean, everything he can to get out of the slump, because he knows, and his teammates knows, when he gets good again, this offense is going to be that much better. Boy,
the Marlins could have a lot more wins, too. If Hanley can add that to the mix, even Coughlin's under 250 now, right? He's at 247 coming in. Infante's been coming on a little bit, but still under 250. There's a lot of room to grow here for this Marlins club. Game 1 of a 2-game series against Ryan Dempster and the Cubbies. Coming up next.
Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Moving forward. By AT&T. By Checkers, little place, big taste. And by All Year Cooling. Today's comfort, yesterday's prices. It's an email and Twitter Wednesday. We were rained out last night, so here's the drill. FoxSportsFlorida.com. Click on the Marlins link. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Down to the bottom, there you go. There's how to send an email. Our crack staff will look at the email, send them to the booth, and away you go. Or on Twitter, at FS Marlins on Twitter. Sun Life Stadium, here we go. The Cubs have lost 3 in a row. They are 17-23. Mike Quade's Cubs lead it off with Kosuke Fukudome. Darwin Barney, one of the best rookies in baseball, and if you ended it right now, he's the Rookie of the Year in the National League. Starlin Castro, the exciting young shortstop. Aramis Ramirez, the veteran third baseman. Carlos Pena, the former Ray, is at first. Marlon Byrd in center field. Alfonso Soriano has 11 homers. Coy Hill is the catcher. Brian Dempster hits 9th.
Couple of guys tonight, Rich, who've pitched well against the other team. Ricky's 3-1 against the Cubs, his former team, with a nice 2.48 ERA in his 4 career starts.
Nolasco, of course, ready to go last night. Game was canceled. He pitches tonight against the Cubs. He gets a strike on Fukudome, the Japanese star. Not a lot of power this year. And Ricky's big breaking ball drops in for a strike.
No surprise with a first pitch strike from Ricky, 6th in the National League in throwing first pitch strikes.
0-2 coming. Bounces one up there. Fukudome is now 34. 9-year career with the Chunichi Dragons. This is his 4th year with the Cubs and the last year of what was a 4-year, $48 million contract. Got him. Nolasco buries Fukudome.
Good job. Good way to start for Ricky. Some nice pitches to Fukudome. Check out the defense tonight for the Fish. Brought to you by Volkswagen. Logan Morrison, Coughlin and Stanton in the outfield. Dobbs in there at third. Hanley and Infante. Gabby over on the right side. Direct from the fan cave in New York. And John Buck behind the plate.
That's right, the fan cave. Here's Darwin Barney, and not a lot of people have heard of him, but you better pay attention to this guy. Because, boy, is he off to a great start. 38 games, you see the average. That's 3rd in the National League, and he is a rookie out of Oregon State. In the air to center. Coughlin makes the catch, and there's 2 quick outs for Nolasco.
So a couple of exciting young players back-to-back in the lineup. And it's interesting, Barney, a college player, you mentioned Oregon State is 25, and Starlin Castro, who's been moved now into the number 3 spot, just 21.
Sports Illustrated cover boy of 2 weeks ago. Castro and Barney, really the future for the Cubs, a team that has some aged veterans, contracts expiring. They cleared the deck of some people in the offseason. And Castro is off to a great start. Ricky misses outside. He's hitting .464 over his last 7 games.
It is kind of an interesting mix that the Chicago Cubs have. You mentioned the aging high-priced players, guys that they're locked into some contracts, serious contracts.
That was a serious swing.
The youngsters, and then you have like some in-betweeners, like a Reed Johnson or a Jeff Baker, guys like that.
Yeah, no Terrio, no Fontenot, no D. Lee on the infield this year. Here's the 1-1. Checked his swing on a breaking ball. Rob Drake down there at first base said no swing.
And I think a guy who handles it very well because of all of his time managing in the minor leagues, Mike Quade. 17 years as a minor league manager.
And he had a nice finish last year when he took over for Lou Piniella on August 23rd. And that essentially won him the job. Here's the 2-1. It was a team that certainly underachieved last year. But under Quade, in the last 6 weeks, they went 24-13. And, of course, the decision wasn't popular in a lot of places because Ryan Sandberg was managing in AAA and had been there for a while. And many thought Ryan Sandberg was going to be the next manager of the Cubs. Here's the 2-2. Oh, what a start for Nolasco. 2 punch outs, a quick 12-pitch inning. Off to a good start on an email Wednesday.
Marlins Baseball está disponible en español oprimiendo el botón del zap.
Florida Marlins at 24-16. Here's their lineup tonight. They lead it off with Chris Coghlan in center. Hanley Ramirez still in the 2 spot. Logan Morrison hitting third. Gabby Sanchez having a terrific month of May. Greg Dobbs at third base. Mike Stanton, a terrific road trip. John Buck hits 7th and does the catching. Omar Infante appears as the second baseman. Ricky Nolasco hits 9th.
And appearing as the starting pitcher for the Cubs, 34-year-old Ryan Dempster, 3-1 in his career against the Marlins, but 2-0 and an 0.95 ERA as a starter. Remember, for 3 years, he worked out of the bullpen in that closing role for Chicago.
Of course, he has the little waggle of the glove at the start of his delivery, something he developed midway through his career. He felt he might have been tipping his pitches.
It helps him when he gets that splitter grip. Fastballs, sliders, splitters, sometimes, and they said early on he was throwing too many sliders.
Coghlan goes after a fastball and fouls it back, and it's 1-1. The Marlins had a good road trip. They won 3 of 4 games. Chris Coghlan, though, in a bit of a funk right now. He was just 2 for 19 on the trip.
Well, it's amazing. You have Cogs 2 for 19, Hanley's 0 for his last 16, and the Marlins won 3 out of 4.
Coghlan swings and fouls it into the glove of Coy Hill. Coghlan in Washington, he had one of those trips. I think it was over a span of 2 games. He probably hit 4 balls right on the nose at people. But then from that point on, scuffled. Here's the 1-2. Off his foot.
Let's take a look at the scouting report on Ryan Dempster. There it is. He was an all-star back in 2000 as a Marlin. He has that hard tilting slider, and the slider and split at times are hard to distinguish. But a competitor, a battler, and one of the best guys in the game.
About ready to throw out the first email tonight on an email and Twitter Wednesday. Here's the 1-2 to Coghlan. Slices a liner to left. Soriano is there. And he makes the catch.
And another hard hit ball off the bat of Chris Coghlan. Here's the defense for the Cubs. They've made 29 errors. They're kind of down in the bottom third. Soriano, Marlon Byrd, and Fukudome in that outfield. Aramis Ramirez, he's been around a while. Starlin Castro and Barney, the 2 youngsters up the middle. Carlos Pena, sure-handed first baseman with some power. Coy Hill doing most of the catching lately because their former Rookie of the Year, Giovanni Soto, is on the disabled list.
So here is Hanley. Hanley 2 for 18 on the road trip. Dempster misses down low. Hanley has slid up to the 2 spot. It didn't take long before Logan Morrison arrived in the 3 position in Edwin Rodriguez's lineup. And a lot of it had to do with Hanley's struggles. A lot of it had to do with John Buck and where you put him in the lineup, because you needed a 2-hitter to have Infante hitting 8th to prevent Buck from hitting in the 8th spot. 1-1. Hanley drives it to right field and hits it pretty well. That is deep. That is gone. And a 1-0 lead.
Oh, wow. Breaking an 0 for 16, breaking a 2 for 19 road trip. Been frustration, breaking a lot of frustration as well. And even better, seeing him drive that ball so well the opposite field. Pitches away. It's a fastball. He stays. He lets it get to him. He doesn't jump out in front and roll over on it. He let the ball come to him, drove it with a beautiful swing, and drove it right on out of here.
So a 1-0 start. Here's Logan Morrison with Gabby Sanchez to follow. Morrison takes a strike. Morrison the other night in that extra inning game had a 13-game hit streak snapped on an 0 for 4. It was a shame that last night's game was rained out, because we had so much to talk about from Monday night's game. So many twists and turns. The Badenhop base hit. Why Badenhop ended up in that spot. Both managers almost emptying their bench. In fact, the Mets, Terry Collins, did empty his bench.
He had to use Jonathan Neese in that 11th inning to pinch it, and he tripled.
Here's the 2-1 to Lomo. And that fastball is up. Hail to the Hopper. He gets the win and his second career hit.
Let's see. Well, he had Brian Sanchez's helmet and Chris Volstad's bat.
Yes, but it was Chris Volstad's bat that JJ was using, so he had to ask permission from JJ first. And Morrison is aboard. And if you stayed up late with us and you were wondering, and we were wondering, why Ozzie Martinez didn't hit and why Hopper came up, well, the answer revealed after the ball game that Edwin didn't want the Mets to know, and that was that Brian Sanchez was not available. Sanchez had a hard workload, had been up earlier.
Even though he had him just kind of tossing down in the bullpen as a decoy for Terry Collins, the Mets manager. So it was a bit of terrific managing, I thought, on Edwin's part.
Oh, his fingerprints were all over that ball game. Here's Gabby now. He continues to have a great May. And Dempster misses outside. Sanchez leads the National League in average for May, hitting .383. Tied for the lead in RBIs with 15 May runs driven in. And right now, fourth in the National League overall in on-base percentage at .411. But I don't think he's going to get on base with this.
You know, he pops up to another hot May hitter, Carlos Pena.
All right, weather and an email. Let's do that. All Your Cooling brings you the weather. 79 degrees. No rain. Beautiful thing.
Just beautiful.
There's Dobbs. All right, Tommy, here's the first email.
Go for it.
And this is from Bob and Rose in Lake Worth. Do you know that you guys have gone viral on YouTube with your laughing at the Mets fan wearing the crybaby mask after Hopper ended the game on Monday night? That was priceless. Good job for the crack staff to show that one fan at the end of the ball game. Dobbs goes after the first pitch, fouls it back. In case you missed it, this was a mask. There were some people that felt it was a real person, but we found out when the guy took the mask off.
I'm going to go viral again. I'm still laughing.
But of course, our crack staff married the end of the game with and it was a terrific ending. Nunez striking out Reyes with the tying run at third, and a quick shot of the crying fan. Dobbs swings and misses. Dempster out in front, 0-2. I do believe, Tommy, that's the first time we've gone viral.
I think so, yeah.
How many views? 36,000 views. 0-2. Dempster over to first.
By all accounts, this will be a close game. The Marlins' last 4 wins have been one-run games, and the Marlins on the year are 12-4 in one-run games. Like to have a laugher to give Edwin a little chance to relax.
0-2 fouled off. Another email from Dylan in Palm Beach Gardens. Is there any possible information that you guys could share with the public about the Miami Marlins colors and logos? And Tommy, what do you think Hanley needs to do to improve to get him back on track to his old self?
Just what he did that last AB.
Sorry I didn't read that 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, what he did that last AB, stay with that.
Dobbs battling. Hill sets up inside. Dempster threw a pretty good pitch.
Yep, if Hanley just lets things slow down, let the pitches come to him instead of jumping out, he'll be just fine. Colors, we've talked a little bit about colors. It's something that the Marlins are keeping under their hat pretty well.
November 11th is the unveiling of the new logo, new colors. 11-11-11. Down goes Dobbs. Dempster gets a strikeout, but the Marlins get a run as Hanley Ramirez goes opposite field. His third homer of the season and a 1-0 start. 1-0. Marlins on top of the Cubs. A little party out at the Bud Beach area. Super Saturday is one you don't want to miss this Saturday. The Beach Boys will be here. The Marlins and the Rays, 4:10 start. And the postgame concert is presented by Budweiser. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Allison Williams. A cast of thousands, which will increase tomorrow night with the big Ford Fantasy Auction presented by Tommy Bahama. It's tomorrow night. 6:30 is when the bidding starts. That's when Marlins Live hits the air. Here's Aramis Ramirez, and he lifts a pop-up towards the first base dugout. John Buck and Gabby Sanchez over for a look. Ramirez, Carlos Pena, and Marlon Byrd. It's odd seeing the Cubs because they have some hitters that you expect big things out of. But Aramis Ramirez has hit just one home run this year.
Yeah,
driven in 15.
Guy who 7 times in his career has 25 or more.
Marlon Byrd has just one homer. Ramirez goes around. Starlin Castro actually has just one homer. But then you get down to Alfonso Soriano, who's hitting 7th. He's got 11.
But then they also have a number of players that are hitting very low with runners in scoring position. So they have some averages that look enticing, but with runners in scoring position, not so. Ramirez, as a matter of fact, just 220 in those situations.
He went. And so a strikeout. Nolasco already has struck out 3 Cubs.
Now, Ricky, in his career, is averaging 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. And he did go. Tried to hold it back. He tried to flip it back into that backhand, but didn't fool Paul Emmel, first base umpire.
Well, here is Carlos Pena, who is a statistical marvel when you look at him in his career. You see that average, 231, 5 homers, 17 driven in. He's hot right now. Last 12 games, 5 homers, a 368 average. And when he gets hot, he can stay hot. Tries to bunt with the shift on, and it's fouled off. It's 0-1.
Well, the Marlins have the same shift that we see with Ryan Howard with Carlos Pena, and you're right, he is hot right now. Got off to a real slow start, but has been tearing things up in the month of May. And in a brief sample size, it's a pretty good one against Ricky Nolasco.
There are his numbers from last year, and you look at the average, you just say, my goodness. But look at the production. 28 homers, 84 RBIs, and he's got such a great eye. His on-base percentage last year was .325.
You know, if you just crossed out the batting average, didn't see the batting average in the 190s, you looked at the home runs, the RBIs, the on-base percentage. That's why the Cubs took a flyer on him for 1 year. I think a pretty good flyer, $10 million, though.
Yeah, that's an expensive flyer. Fastball misses up. He had a real nice run with the Rays. Kind of reestablished his career after he had bounced through 3 organizations, Texas, Oakland, and Detroit. 4-year average of 36 homers and 102 RBIs with Tampa Bay. 2-1 from Nolasco. Got in on him. And Pena has hit Ricky in just 3 at-bats, has a couple of hits, but both of the hits are home runs.
Yeah, small sample size, but a lot of damage. Just one of the many players that the Rays allowed either to let go by free agency or traded, and hasn't bothered them at all because they're back in first place.
Here's the 2-2. Wow. With 2 strikes, Pena is thinking about dropping a bunt down the third baseline.
That is really unusual.
The Marlins have that shift on, the Ryan Howard type shift, and Greg Dobbs is out at shortstop. And that's what Pena's looking at when he tries to drop a bunt down with 2 strikes. I think Nolasco may have been so stunned that he squared. He missed on the 2-2, and he misses on the 3-2. And Pena, as he is wont to do, draws the walk.
I think David Rackley, the home plate umpire, was just as stunned.
Emails and tweets at FS Marlins on Twitter. TRMB on Twitter says, saying first time we've gone viral just sounds bad to me.
Yeah, we're taking something for it, though.
Yes.
We're on medication for it.
Here's Bird. Marlon Bird takes a strike. Marlon Bird in his second year in center field with the Cubs. Solid year last year, 293 average, 346 on base percentage. He had 39 doubles last year. A guy that took a while to establish himself in the big leagues. Was an all-star last year with the Cubs. In fact, was the Cubs all-star. And he doesn't like that call. David Rackley twice has called that a strike. Twice Bird has turned around. Counts 0-2. And on Fox Tracks,
look at that.
That's a strike. And it looks like Rackley has established a low strike zone tonight. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball. Buck's throw. Gabby knocked the ball down, then Pena knocked Gabby down, and obviously Bird is steamed that the first two calls led to that swing on a low pitch.
Yeah, it's always one of those situations where the crowd goes, well, wait a minute, you swung and missed, but it goes back to the previous two pitches. He's saying, I'm in an 0-2 count, and then he's fooled and chases a slider off the plate.
Now on Fox Tracks, we saw where those pitches were. So for the rest of the night, we'll keep track and see where that strike zone is. And if David Rackley keeps it consistent, then the hitters don't have an argument. Here's Alfonso Soriano. Soriano takes down low. Soriano is a guy that the Cubs laid out a lot of years and a lot of money to. He's under contract through 2014 with roughly $70 million left on that contract.
And he's 35 years old now.
Swing and a miss. He has hit 11 out of the park this year and driven in 23.
10 of those came in April, so he got off to a great start. They have some guys, Rich, who certainly don't get cheated at the plate. We saw that swing. We saw Starlin Castro, the way he swings.
Pena's at first. There are 2 outs. Nolasco has struck out 4, walked 1. Soriano went around. He uses one of the heaviest bats in all of baseball, so when he gets it rolling, it's hard to stop the swing.
Tough to check it.
Here comes a 1-2. Nolasco over to first.
Where Soriano came on the scene first with the Yankees and had some tremendous years. Hard to imagine his 5th year with the Cubs. Remember, he had that 1 year, a huge year with Washington.
Well, that was a huge year because it turned into the huge contract. Yeah. Right center field, hit pretty well. Stanton going after it. Mike is there, and he makes the catch. Marlins on top, 1-0. Tomorrow night is a special night. It's our Ford Fantasy Auction presented by Tommy Bahama. You can get a jump start on it with a pledge pack. In the pledge pack, you get the Fox Sports Florida briefcase, a new era Marlins cap, a Logan Morrison autographed baseball authenticated by Major League Baseball, a Tommy Bahama beach towel, a Fox Sports Florida zip drive, Fox Sports Florida, the Ivy's here, Fox Sports Florida beach cap, and more in the pledge pack. You saw that number, 1-0, Marlins on top. Marlins.com/pledge packs. You can log on and buy online right now. Here's Mike Stanton. And if you're not online and you want to buy a pledge pack over the phone, we have a phone number for you to use tonight. 305-623-6497. 305-623-6497. If you call that number, not only can you buy a pledge pack tonight, but you can also join us tomorrow night. If you want to be on television tomorrow night, all you got to do is buy tickets tomorrow night to come and join us at the fantasy auction. Call that number. Stanton takes outside. It's an email and a Twitter Wednesday. And this email comes from Danny in Boynton Beach. My 5-year-old son DJ didn't get to see Mike Stanton's home run from Monday night's game. Here's the 1-2. And Mike pulls one foul, and that will give us a chance to show you the longest home run hit in the history of Citi Field, which opened up, what, 2000 and...
Yeah, third year of Citi Field.
Yeah.
It's one of those things we've talked about, that Mike Stanton's going to hit the longest home runs in a lot of ballparks.
Ground ball up the middle. Castro's not getting that one. And Stanton continues to swing a hot bat.
This is where you'd like to see him really catch fire at home. We talked about his 6 career home runs at Nationals Park, just 8 career home runs here, and a batting average of right around 200. So he'd like to pick things up a little bit at home.
By the way, that home run was 465 feet. A couple of different sources had it at 445 or 450. HitTrackerOnline.com is our go-to website for home run distances. And here is John Buck. Buck hitting 7th with Infante to follow, and Buck fouls it back. And as we explained, the move to put Hanley in the 2 spot also involved Buck's spot in the order. Edwin Rodriguez said it just did not feel right putting John Buck 8th in the lineup when Omar Infante was up hitting 2nd.
Well, he likes the production that John Buck has provided, and he hates to kind of stifle that in a number 8 hitter.
Counts 0-2 to Buck. Marlins have a run on a Hanley Ramirez homer. Hanley has 3 homers this year, 1 to left, 1 to center, and 1 to right. And tonight's was to right. Slow tapper, might be 2. Castro, Barney's turn is in time. And the Cubs get a couple. Here comes Infante. Here comes the UEFA Champions League final on Fox. A rematch of 09. Barcelona, FC Barcelona, takes on Manchester United. Fox Sports exclusive coverage of the UEFA Champions League final begins Saturday, May 28th, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific in high definition. Infante's bat perked to life on the road trip. Dempster runs a fastball in.
This becomes one of those at-bats you don't think a whole lot of. But if Infante is able to reach base, it gets Ricky Nolasco to the plate. If he's not, then Ricky has to lead off the next inning.
Zach in Orlando. What's up, dudes? About to head down to the local watering hole in Orlando named Friendly Confines, a Cub-style bar. But he's there as a Marlin fan because they got nickel beers tonight. Infante bounces out. Nice play by Ramirez. 1-0 Fish. Marlin fan, Cub fan. Together in harmony.
Rich, you know what's amazing? The Cubs and the Marlins in the regular season have played 147 games. Now, not counting postseason. The Marlins are up 1 game, 74-73 against the Cubs.
And unfortunately for Cub fans, that goes for the postseason as well. The Marlins are up 1 game.
Yes.
Coy Hill, Ryan Dempster, and Fukudome. Velasco catches the outside corner. Ricky has looked sharp. He has struck out 4, walked 1. And Velasco misses high with a fastball. Spencer on Twitter. What are the odds that Edwin uses the hopper to pinch hit in a double switch after the other night against the Mets?
I don't think he will. I think first out of the chute
as a pitcher
would be JJ if he's not in the game. Second might be Javier Vasquez. He swings the bat pretty well.
Fouled at the plate. Laurie and Weston. Can you say something in honor of Harmon Killebrew? He was a real tribute to the game of baseball. I never had a chance to meet Killebrew, but from all the people that I know that did meet him, they say he was a Hall of Famer off the field as well as on the field.
That's absolutely correct. I did meet him a number of times, and I think a lot of people who just saw him play and saw this kind of a stocky, burly power hitter, they really didn't think too much of Harmon Killebrew as a person. But you're absolutely right about that. A Hall of Famer both ways, off the field and on the field.
And that's the amazing thing. I always, as a kid growing up, I thought Harmon Killebrew was 6'6".
Yeah, he was. He might have been 6 feet. He was probably a little under 6 feet.
You're right, and that's, you get the same impression when you meet Hank Aaron
and Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, none of those guys are very tall at all. Ryan Dempster climbs in, and let's see if he tries to bunt Hill up to second. Dobbs is creeping in at third. Dempster pops the bunt up over Gabby's head, and it's a foul ball.
Not much you can do about that if you're Gabby. He's charging to try to field that bunt, maybe get the out at second. And Dempster's bunt, not a good one, but it goes over the head of Gabby Sanchez and near the Cubs' first base coach, former Cub outfielder Bob Dernier.
There's been a few tweaks in the coaching staff for the Cubs. There's Dernier, good base stealer in his time. Across the diamond, you've got Ivan DeJesus, the third base coach. Dempster bunts, Gabby's all over it, but then he bobbles, picks it up, makes the throw. And so the Marlins get it out. The Cubs get the base they wanted. Top of the order, Fukudome and Barney with Hill in scoring position. Dan Patrick Show, must-see TV, 9 a.m. on FSN. You're waking up, reading box scores, flip on FSN, and you'll see Dan Patrick and his cast of characters. Here's Fukudome now. He struck out back in the first.
Second time around for the Cub hitter. See how Ricky Nolasco works. The one thing I think Richwitz has been very encouraging, Josh Johnson, Ricky Nolasco, Anibal Sanchez have all started to put together consistent starts. They've shown consistency, and that's what you love to see out of your starting pitchers.
And you know, the other thing for the Marlins, and certainly Nolasco's been the beneficiary, Sanchez the beneficiary, is that Leo Nunez has not blown a save. He's been perfect this year.
In Ricky's case, he's gone 6 or more innings, 7 of his 8 starts this year.
Nunez with his 15 saves, and I know some have been of the seat of the pants variety, but 15 saves is 15 saves. And Lomo Dimples on Twitter wants to know, how are fans catching on that the 2011 Leo Nunez is not the 2010 Leo Nunez. Here's the 2-1 pitch.
I would hope they're catching on a little bit. You know, there's a South Florida icon, Hall of Famer Earl Weaver, who used to see Don Stanhouse walk that tightrope every time he went out to save a game, too.
Is the biggest difference pitch selection and location from Nunez from 10 to this year?
Yeah, and we've talked about the slider, and then I think you add those things and you put together some confidence.
Ricky just threw 2 real good changeups to Fukudome.
The success that Leo has had, the success in getting saves and the success in throwing that slider, has given him confidence.
Coy Hill's at second. 1 out in the third. A Hanley Ramirez homer, the only run. And Velasco misses outside to Fukudome.
Let's see what Ricky throws. I would imagine not a fastball. He's shown the good slider. He's thrown Fukudome some good changeups.
Changeup. And he fouled it off his foot.
So Ricky right now has confidence in his secondary pitches.
Fukudome last year 13 homers, drove in 44. Don't know that he's lived up to the numbers he's had and what the Cubs expected when they laid out $48 million for him over 4 years.
I don't think he has.
3-2. Changeup. He hit it hard into right field. Hill to third. Stanton has it quickly, and Hill will be held. A strong throw by Stanton. Fukudome is at first, but with that runners at the corners now, you've got Darwin Barney coming up. You can log on to JiffyLubeCatch.com for your chance to enter the Play Catch with Gabby Sanchez sweepstakes. 2 lucky winners will be selected to play catch on the field with Gabby prior to the June 21st game against the Angels. Log on to JiffyLubeCatch.com today. Jiffy Lube, the official oil change of the Marlins. Here's Barney now, the 25-year-old out of Beaverton, Oregon. Suburb of Portland, which is, of course, famous for being the headquarters of Nike. He won 2 national championships down the road in Corvallis at Oregon State.
Drawing a lot of attention to baseball up in the Northwest.
Barney pokes it towards Sanchez, and Gabby's going to get the out. Hill got a pretty clean break at third. And had Gabby gone to the plate, that was not a sure out.
No, if the ball had been hit a little sharper to Gabby, he would have had to play at the plate. Hill didn't run that well. But because the ball was chopped in the fashion that it was, Hill got a decent jump. The only play Gabby had was to put the tag on Darwin Barney.
It's an RBI situation for Starlin Castro as well, with Fukudome out at second base. Castro struck out back in the first. Joe in New Jersey. Happy news. He saw Alfredo Amezaga the other day on a highlight with the Rockies.
So did we.
Yeah, we saw that in the press box last night.
Yeah.
Up in New York. Also wants to know what the timetable is for Clay Hensley's return. Oh, 1. In the air, shallow right. Stanton is there, and Mike makes the catch. Ricky gives up a run, and we're all tied.
Ricky Nolasco stepping up for his first AB of the night. He gets the start because of the rain out yesterday in New York. And for Ricky, it's just as well. He seems to thrive against the club that drafted and then traded him. He got his first and only home run of his career off of the Cubs. It was May 22nd, 2006, off of Sean Marshall in the fourth, en route to a 9-1 win for the Fish. That's actually his first major league hit as well. And he's also pitched pretty well against the Cubbies. He got his first big league win against them April 26th of 2006 in a relief appearance. So he seems to thrive a bit when facing the Cubs, perhaps playing with a bit of an extra edge.
Thank you, Allison. Tommy, I think that's one of the more underrated trades that the Marlins have made in their history. The fact that they pried Ricky Nolasco out of the Cubs system, and he is second on their all-time wins list right now. That was, of course, the Marlins were looking to deal Juan Pierre. Pierre spent just one season in Chicago before signing a huge deal in Los Angeles. Sergio Mitre was probably the most polished of the guys they got. They got Reniel Pinto, the lefty reliever, and a minor league starter named Ricky Nolasco.
And it was one of those things. I think you did the same thing when you checked on the numbers of Ricky Nolasco. This is always something I look at. Mistake for Dempster, by the way, to walk him. But you looked at Ricky's minor league numbers, 43 wins, 22 losses. So he knew how to win games. He did so coming up in the Cubs organization.
And he's continued that at the major league level. I mean, he's getting closer and closer to Dontrelle Willis.
You can look at whip, you can look at strikeouts to innings, you can look at all that stuff. It might be impressive, but if the guy doesn't win games, there's something missing. And if he wins games, he has something extra.
57 and 39 career is Nolasco. Coughlin takes a strike. And with Nolasco in mind, Emily and John from Fort Lauderdale send this email. Do you know the name of Ricky Nolasco's haircut? My husband and I are faithful followers of the Marlins and of your clothing.
We'd have to check with Hugo, the team barber, if there's an exact name.
Yeah, Ricky kind of has the racing stripes on the right side.
I think fade could come in there somewhere.
It's not the Ugla faux hawk.
No.
0-2 to Coughlin. Pulled foul. Craig, you have any insight on that?
Yeah, after ducking, nearly getting hit. The racing stripes is what he calls it. He also said that he told me that he was the trendsetter on this, and almost a little jokingly upset that, remember, Coughlin had it? I don't think Chris still has the racing stripes.
I think Mike Stanton had it.
Stanton had it.
Mike does, yeah.
But Ricky was kind of taking ownership of that.
Ricky's been consistent with it,
yes,
just like he has been in winning games.
and throwing strikes.
Here's the 0-2. And it's fouled off. And Emily and John, thanks for the compliments on our clothing.
Oh, thank you.
That's
thank
it.
you.
Visit your local Tommy Bahama outlet, and you'll see many of the fine clothes that we wear. Although we did have to throw on a few sweaters and coats last road trip.
This next road trip coming up is going to be an unusual one to pack for, too.
San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Arizona. Coughlin battling an 0-2 from Dempster. And he fights that one off as well.
You know, when Ryan Dempster was an all-star as a Marlin in 2000, he was the first Canadian pitcher to go to the All-Star game since Ferguson Jenkins. Huge hockey fan.
Yes, of course, grew up near Vancouver, British Columbia. Gibson's, British Columbia. 0-2. Coughlin swings and misses. So up comes Hanley. Stacy from Houston asks, what is your favorite item up for auction this year? There's some great items. The road trip to Chicago is pretty special.
That has to be the premier item right there.
It's a 4-game series in July, and you get tickets to all 4 games.
You get rooftop seats one of the games?
One of the games you get to sit across on one of the rooftop seats, and that's all you can eat, gourmet food, all you can drink, gourmet drink as well. You get dinner at Harry Carey's.
Great place to eat.
You get to stay at the team hotel, the historic Drake.
Beautiful hotel. Right on Michigan Avenue.
Hanley takes outside. This is Craig on one of the rooftops.
Yeah, Craig made his way up to the rooftop. It's a great atmosphere.
Yeah, and this one is actually owned by the Cubs. The Cubs were nice enough to donate the 2 tickets. And it will be a Friday afternoon game. So the Friday afternoon game, you're up on the rooftop in the sun. All you can eat and all you can drink, baby.
Yeah, the Marlins have a 4-game series. The Thursday game's a night game. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all day games. So you have a chance to go to Harry Carey's and use that voucher and certificate.
And there's airfare included. You'll get airfare to and from Chicago. Deep dish pizza with Craig as well.
And he knows the best deep dish pizza places in Chicago.
Yes, I do. Unfortunately.
Hanley swings and misses at a breaking ball.
Guys, and I know you've been out there, but obviously not during the game. Great view of the game. You feel like you're in the stadium. It's not like you're removed, even though you're across the street. Food is great. A lot of people, frankly, don't even watch the game. They're in areas. I know not our Marlin fans. They'll be watching. But enjoying that. They have an incredible display of food and I believe some beverages too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Hanley homered to right. That was back in the first. Marlins and Cubs tied 1-1. That's tomorrow night's Ford Fantasy Auction presented by Tommy Bahama. Little chopper off of Dempster's glove. Barney picks it up and he'll get an Elasco and that's it. (1-4) on the fielder's choice. Tickets of America poll question tonight. Cubs' biggest disappointment, was it the World Series loss with the GOAT? It's the last time they've been in the World Series. The Black Cat collapse in '69. The '84 collapse against the Padres, or of course the Marlins comeback win in 2003.
I think that's a good generational question.
789-789.
Younger Cubs fans, most recent Cubs fans would talk about 2003. But maybe an older Cub fan would go back a little further.
Now, Tommy, we will have Cub fans watching tomorrow night's auction as well. And the crack staff just said that if there are Cub fans out there that want to participate in the auction, we will not show the Bartman play throughout this series. Now, tonight, if you call that number 305-623-6497, you can get in on the pledge packs. The man at home plate, Logan Morrison, was nice enough to sign baseballs for the pledge packs. 305-623-6497. You can also order dinner tickets for tomorrow. You get a ticket to the game. You get an all-you-can-eat gourmet buffet, meet and greet with Jeff Conine and a Marlins player, and you get to be on television.
I know you and I will try to get down there before the game.
Yep, you're part of the live studio audience tomorrow. But the pledge packs, if you want to see what's in the pledge packs, go to marlins.com/pledge packs. The Lomo baseball, Tommy Bahama beach towel, the briefcase from Fox Sports Florida, Fox Sports Florida hat, New Era cap. Hanley is running, pitches outside, Hill's throw, and he's in there. Hanley steals second base. 9th of the season.
One of the things that Edwin talked about in Hanley's struggles and also the move to get him up to the second spot, he can do something like this. He can steal a bag to get into scoring position. You kind of lose that if you were to move him down in the order.
Two and one to Logan Morrison. Pulls that one foul and down the line. Part of the proceeds for the pledge packs will go to the American Lung Association. That is Morrison's, of course, charity of choice after losing his father to lung cancer in the offseason. You know, we get emails and every now and then we get actual letters. And we got a letter today from our friend Rose Rutherford, the 82-year-old widow who last year told us that she was battling lung cancer. And now Lomo is her favorite Marlin. Cody Ross was last year, but now she's adopted Lomo.
You couldn't have picked a better player, Rose.
But she did say when we get to San Francisco to say hi to Cody for her. 2-2, swing and a miss. Dempster strikes out Morrison, and the Marlins are finished in the third. Off to the fourth we go, 1-1. Good night to be out on Bud Beach. Nice cap. Our Toyota trend. Marlins lead the all-time series 74-73. The Cubs have won the last 4 meetings. Ricky Nolasco gets Aramis Ramirez, Carlos Pena, Marlon Byrd in the 4th on an email and Twitter Wednesday because of the rain out last night.
Speaking, Rich, of Bud Beach, it will pale in comparison to the La Playa area in the new ballpark that will have not a hot tub, an actual pool, an actual swimming pool.
A pool with a swim-up bar. Dobbs, a diving stop on his feet. Long throw, not in time. Ramirez beats it out. An infield hit for Aramis Ramirez, and up comes Carlos Pena.
Good effort by Greg Dobbs. Just a tough play. You're really not going to get the out, but you prevent a double by going to the line. He was playing off the line and making the grab. He tried to throw out Ramirez, just couldn't do it, but he kept Ramirez from getting a double.
Here now is Pena. Frank from Staten Island has an email. It's your buddy Frank from Staten Island again. I know I come on here with a lot of complaints, but Javi Vasquez has got to go. How long will they stick with him? When is enough enough? Thanks, Frank. Frank, good to have you with us tonight. Pena drops down a bunt. The shift is still on, and he still can't.
You know, we saw him, when I saw him attempt that his first AB, I remember him doing that when he was with Tampa, with the Rays. He dropped down a bunt with the shift. He will do that, obviously, we've seen tonight a whole lot more than Ryan Howard will.
Frank wants to know, when is enough enough?
It's not yet. Because we were told by, and we're just relaying, we're just the messengers, Frank, that Edwin has said that Javier Vasquez will make his next start and his next start.
Here's the 0-1. There's a lot of moving pieces to something like that. It's not as simple as just saying we'll send him down to the minor leagues, because you'd expose him to waivers. You're paying him $7 million this year, and so to cut ties with a guy like that,
and you're probably not going to put him in the bullpen,
right?
Even though he pitched a little bit out of the bullpen last year.
Here's the 1-1. Ground ball through the shift into right field. Stanton picks it up. Ramirez stops at second. And Pena crosses up the shift by just punching one right through it.
It's amazing. You have the shift on. How do you find a hole in through here? But somehow Carlos Pena was able to do so. Without a runner at first base, this ball might not get through. Hanley's a little farther over, and it's a different situation. But with the runner on first, Hanley has to stay closer to second base.
Here comes Marlon Byrd now. He struck out back in the second. Cubs have something going here. Runners at first and second, and nobody out in the fourth. Little looper into right field. Stanton there, and he makes a running catch. Nice play by Mike Stanton, who gets good jumps and has very good closing speed, and those are the football skills that he had in high school.
In order to make this play, you have to get a good jump. You can just see him at the top of your screen immediately. As soon as that ball was hit, he was on the move in the right direction. Fox Mode gives you a nice, slow look at it, but the bottom line was Mike Stanton got a quick jump.
All right, here's a challenge for Nolasco now. You've got Soriano with his 11 homers and runners at first and second and one out. And it's fouled off. So I guess to finish Frank's question, a lot of moving parts. the Marlins aren't in a position to just say, Javi, thanks for coming, here's your money, and we'll see you down the road, because you got to have someone to come in and plug into that spot, and B, you have to be absolutely sure that he can't get anybody out in the big leagues.
It's a different story than if it were a younger pitcher,
like a Chris Volstad last year,
who had options, and you could send down, let him work on a few things, and bring someone else up. It's a completely different situation.
The excruciating thing for the Marlins is that Vasquez will have one bad inning and then have 3 good innings. And so somewhere there, he can get outs. But he just can't get outs in the first inning. He's given up a run in every first inning that he's pitched this year.
And we saw him the other day in Washington have that horrible first inning, gave up 6 runs. Then he came out, retired the side in the second, had a 1-2-3 third, and did not allow a run in the fourth.
Velasco steps off. Soriano at the plate with the count 1-2.
Here is where I would make an adjustment, though. And again, it would be hard to do because a lot of it falls on when he would pitch. I would do everything possible to not have him face Philadelphia. They have too many guys in their lineup that have unbelievable numbers against him. Now, you can't always do that. The way the rotation plays out, he might have to. But if it's at all possible, I would try to skip him one of those games.
Ramirez and Pena aboard with 1 out. 2-2 coming to Soriano. That ball was almost in the dirt and by him, and somehow Soriano got a piece of it. Stays at 2-2.
Yeah, he'll chase. I mean, with 2 strikes, he'll chase breaking ball off the plate. He'll chase a high fastball. But don't make a mistake.
Two again. Fastball fouled back.
Good pitch. Tried to run it in on him, tie him up a little bit.
Soriano, an all-star with the Yankees. Rangers, 2-2 coming. Little tapper out toward short. Got one there. Infante's turn. Got 2 there. Ricky Nolasco rolls a double play. 6-4-3. And we head to the bottom of the 4th. In Miami tonight, the Cubs and the Marlins are 1-1. Sports Florida is brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh by Quikrete. Visit quikrete.com. Quikrete, it's what America's made of. And by Florida Power and Light, FP&L is working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit fpnl.com to learn more. 1-1 in the fourth. We check in with Craig Minervini.
Guys, one of the highlights of the New York trip was a trip by Logan Morrison and Gabby Sanchez to the MLB Fan Cave. You can go for more information at MLBFancave.com on that. Gabby was honored. Logan Morrison joined him and got to meet guys named Mike O'Hara and Ryan Wagner. These are the two guys that won an MLB dream job to watch all 2,430 Major League games this year, either live on some of their screens or maybe even on a DVR on the corner of 4th and Broadway. And the two guys had a good time. They also shot a piece, along with interviewing the guys, with Gabby Sanchez at the New York Fish Market, showing shots of various New York fish, salmon and bluefish. And then they said there's even marlin on ice, and they turned over, and sitting on the ice was one Gabby Sanchez. And here it is. And Gabby said, hey, I had to ice the hamstring anyway, so I got a head start. And they had a lot of fun. And, of course, a lot of tweets about it, courtesy of Lomo, who was also pushing Gabby for the All-Star team with his 25,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, that's a nice twist that Lomo is pushing, and well-deserved, as we push as well. Gabby Sanchez deserves to be on that All-Star team with the season he's had so far. And he drives it foul and out of play. And you think about the relationship between the two. They both came up competing for the same spot at first base.
They did so in spring training.
And the Marlins determined that Gabby couldn't play another position, but Lomo had the skill sets where he could play in left field. And so, in some cases, those two guys might not get along, but not in this case. They get along quite well. In fact, you got Lomo pushing for Gabby to get on the All-Star team.
And, Rich, that's what's great about this ball club. We see it every day. We see it in the clubhouse, on the team plane, on the buses.
Gabby popped out his first time up against Dempster. To left. Sounds like he broke his bat. And Soriano makes the catch. So an out here in the fourth. AT&T trivia tonight. In 2002, Ryan Dempster became the Marlins' all-time wins leader. Who did he pass?
Yeah, when Dempster was traded away, he was the club's all-time win leader at that time.
Was it
who did he pass?
Kevin Brown?
I don't think Kevin Brown wasn't here long enough. Was it Kevin Brown? Could it have been an Al Leiter?
Yeah, I mean, that's another good guess. Alex Fernandez?
Injuries, if not for injuries, I would have said yes with Alex.
Greg Dobbs against Ryan Dempster. Dempster, after he got the double play ball in the second, has really settled down, and Dobbs sneaks one up the middle for a base hit.
Another again. How about a Chris Hammond? The early years. Left-hand, good changeup.
We've been told no. No on all accounts. No, and keep going. All right. Here is Mike Stanton.
Jack Armstrong,
the All-American boy,
wasn't here long enough.
We have an email out of Coral Springs. David. Speaking of Mike Stanton's power, did you guys know he has the longest average home run distance at 425.4 feet, just ahead of Justin Upton at 424.9.
So his 8 home runs have averaged 425 feet.
Longest home runs this season, courtesy of our friends at HitTrackerOnline.com. Prince Fielder hit one 486. That was at Minute Maid. Chase Field for Upton. The thing is, Stanton's 465 at Citi Field. The atmospheric conditions.
It was a damp night.
It was damp, drizzly. We saw Jason Bay absolutely crush a ball and couldn't hit it out. Lomo hit it and thought it was gone. His didn't go out. And Stanton's not only went out, it went 465. Pitch is out, and it's 3-1 to Stanton.
We've been given a clue about this pitcher, who was the Marlins wins leader at the time he was passed by Ryan Dempster. He finished his career with a 37-43 record, so below 500.
Up the middle, Castro picks it. Wow, Barney turns it. But Stanton is there. Starlin Castro last year made 27 errors, but little by little his defense is starting to catch up with his potential.
This is a do or die pick. He just kind of reaches out, he stays with it, makes a grab. If he's not shaded for a double play, I don't know if he gets to it. Barney tries to turn but throws a little offline. I don't know if they would have gotten Mike Stanton. It would have been close. But good pick by the young shortstop, Starlin Castro. I think a lot of his errors last year were typical for a 20-year-old. Over aggressiveness, throwing errors.
John Buck. Buck bounced into a double play back in the second. Stands at first, 2 outs. Dempster and Nolasco dueling here tonight. Let's flip the phone and find out who Ryan Dempster replaced. Of course, Dontrell Willis is atop that list now, but Ricky Nolasco is closing in. Pat Rapp.
The Rapper.
Buck pulls it down the line and deep. Soriano into the corner. And it's a foul ball. Andrew and Davey with Armando Galarraga being placed on waivers today. Why don't the Marlins try to claim him and replace Javi Lopez with Galarraga, whose ERA was
Javi Vasquez.
What did I say?
You're just reading the...
Yeah. Javi Vasquez.
Yeah, you're just reading it. Really.
Javi Vasquez. Not the catcher, but the pitcher. But Armando Galarraga, who should have had the perfect game last year, was released today.
Well, there's probably a good reason he was released by a team that doesn't have unbelievable pitching. The Marlins, by the way, 4th in the National League in ERA. So they continue to pitch well.
Yeah, Arizona released him. Buck shoots it down the right field line. That's a base hit. Fukudome over to get it. Stanton on his way into third. And the Marlins have runners at first and second. Here comes Infante.
Pitch up. It's a nice swing for John Buck to stay on top of that pitch and then hit it where he hit it, down the right field line. Snaps a little 0 for 10 that he was working on.
By the way, Armando Galarraga's numbers this year, 3 and 4 with a 5.91 ERA. He had lost 4 straight games and has allowed 13 homers in 42 innings. So he has issues as well.
And Arizona 12th in the league in ERA. You wouldn't think, and he sees a strike on the first pitch, that Infante would see a whole lot here. 2 outs, Ricky Nolasco on deck.
Got a breaking ball. He has homered against Dempster in his career. He's 2 for 6. Out into right. Fukudome approaches and makes the catch, and the Marlins leave a couple. We've played 4. Hello. 1-1.
And check out Marlins mission for tonight's celebration club.
Out last night, FoxSportsFlorida.com. Scroll down after you click on the Marlins icon. There you go. Hey, the coach and Eric Reed made a brief appearance there as we scrolled down. And you can email the booth at FoxSportsFlorida.com or Twitter at FSMarlins. A Subway fifth inning. And currently doing handstands and backflips in the outfield is a gentleman without any clothes. And it is our policy not to show people without clothes, number one. Number two, people who run out on the field. But we can show you the player's reaction, which is almost as good.
You know, I remember back in the 70s when streaking was in style. I didn't know it had come back.
I don't think I've ever seen a streaker do cartwheels like that.
That's an acrobatic streaker.
We were being told it was a small distraction. One. As is, I think it's in the Major League rule books, Tommy, when there is a streaker on the field, the pitcher gets as many pitches as he needs to warm up.
Yeah. Well, they say everything comes back in style.
Just so happened in the Subway fifth inning. 1-1, Cubs and Marlins. Everybody settle down.
I think he was trying to find the quad.
It was not Hank the Tank.
It was not Hank the Tank. We've seen Carlos Pena try to bunt. Pena, by the way, has 3 bunt hits this year. Coy Hill trying to drop one down as well.
Hill, along with Ryan Dempster and Kosuke Fukudome against Nolasco. Soft liner, and it's by Dobbs. And down the line it goes. Morrison picks it up, and Hill has a double. So 2 hits for a guy who came in hitting 167.
Good hitting. He didn't hit this all well. Watch the pitch. A fastball tails away, was probably off the plate. And is able to, off the end of the bat, sneak it by Greg Dobbs. One of our crack staffers, we have them all over. And it is Greg. Frank the Tank. What did we say?
Frank the Tank. I said Hank the Tank.
Yeah, Frank the Tank. Yeah,
right. That's my bad.
See, we have insiders all over. Crack staffers.
That guy on the field was not one of our crack staffers. At least not in name.
I'm not going there.
Dempster dropped down a sacrifice bunt in the 3rd. Dempster fouls that one at the plate. It's 0-2.
Yeah, the guy in the lineup, Coy Hill, you certainly go over him in the meeting when you talk about the hitters, but you don't spend as much time on him as you do with Soriano and Ramirez and Castro and some of the others. But he's gotten himself a couple of hits tonight.
Nice job by Buck to get on the bunt.
Oh, that's a good defensive play. That is terrific. On the other hand, pretty good base running by Coy Hill to realize that it wasn't a bunt that was going to get him to 3rd. Had he taken off, John Buck was all over this. He takes a peek, and he's able to get the out at 1st. So Gabby Sanchez was charging hard. Buck was all over this. A good look at the runner Hill, and then he gets the out at first base. That's a good defensive play.
And now Nolasco has to set his sights on Kosuke Fukudome, who singled back in the third. By the way, earlier tonight we were talking about the auction tomorrow night and favorite items. All the items are up now on the website. So if you're watching the game with your computer open, John Buck is actually in one of the experiences, the Goodyear Blimp experience. John Buck is going up in the Goodyear Blimp with whoever wins that item this year. Fastball for a strike. Go to marlins.com/fantasy and you can click on the icon and it will bring up all of the big board items, the Ford big board. Those are the big experiences. And then the mini board, the Tommy Bahama surfboard, which has some of the smaller items. Here's the 0-1. There's actually some Cubs flavor tomorrow night. So if you're a Cubs fan, you can bid on a throwback autographed Andre Dawson Cubs jersey. That's pretty cool. Or an autographed bat and autographed batting gloves from Starlin Castro. Mike Stanton autographed bat, autographed batting gloves. Josh Johnson autographed jersey. Those are some of the smaller items.
Tell you what, you kind of look at it, well, I don't know if you want to look at it like the stock market, but you buy early with Castro and Stanton.
Yes. 1-2 to Fukudome. Ricky misses up. 2-2. Ground ball right side. Infante to his left. Stopped it, but didn't pick it up. And Fukudome's got a base hit. And here comes Barney again with runners at first and third.
Would have been really tough to throw Fukudome out on this ball, even if he had picked it, because you think about it, by the time he gets there to pick it, it's going to take Infante a little while. He's probably going to spin around to make the throw to first base, and Fukudome gets out of the box well and runs pretty well up the line.
So now it's Barney. Fly to center in the first, and his tapper down the first base line drove in the Cubs' only run of the night back in the third.
Yeah, Barney's had a couple of opportunities, first and third.
He's had a terrific year. We told you he's third in the National League in hitting. 20 RBIs, one of the top rookies in all of baseball.
He's leading National League rookies in hits, batting average, multi-hit games, on-base percentage. And you said it earlier, Rich. Long way to go. I mean, he has a long way to go to win the Rookie of the Year, but the voting went out now. He'd win it.
Actually appeared in 30 games with the Cubs last year. Didn't get a lot of at-bats. Breaking ball, line to right. Stanton is over. Mike reaches up, makes the catch. Runner tags and will score easily. Hill comes across for the second time. And for the second time, Darwin Barney has driven in a run without a hit.
Tough play for Mike Stanton. If you get that lazy fly ball, you can move back on it, get your momentum going to the plate, and make a strong throw to a guy who doesn't run that well in Coy Hill. But it was a line drive, and he had to do everything he could just to make the catch and then try to get a throw in, and really didn't have a chance.
So the Cubs have their first lead of the ball game, a 2-1 lead. Castro now with Fukudome, the runner at first. Almost looked like a batting practice fastball from Ricky. And it's 0-1. 0-1 coming. Hit well to left field. Morrison. It gets by him, and it rolls to the wall, and it's going to cost the Marlins a run. Fukudome will score, and it's 3-1.
Well, it's going to go as a base hit, a single, an error 7, but it's a catchable ball. You show that play to Logan Morrison again, and he's going to say, I need to make that catch. This ball's going to carry to him right here, but he backs up on it and then gets that in-between hop. It skips by him, allows the run come in to score, and allows Castro to go to second base.
So the Cubs have put 2 on the board here. A 3-1 lead. And Ramos Ramirez is the hitter. Castro's out at second base. So no RBI. Ramirez had an infield single back in the 4th. Ryan Dempster, on the other hand, has been outstanding for the Cubs. He's given up the Hanley Ramirez homer and scattered 3 singles after that. One and 0. Remember, Nolasco's last start was against Cliff Lee and the Phillies. Pitched well. And the Marlins defense wasn't good behind him. 6 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. 6 strikeouts, only 2 walks. And he left with the lead. The Phillies ended up with the win.
Oh, we've seen some good defense this inning. The play by John Buck behind the plate. And we've seen the error by Logan Morrison.
That one dipped low. So it's 3-1.
The Cubs have shown some pesky type hitting tonight. Put the ball in play. Barney's been able to get a couple of runners home from third with less than 2 out.
Fouled over the screen. John in New Jersey, as a brother of an inaugural Mermaids captain, friend of former BP pitcher Alan Leverall, a Marlins fan who witnessed both World Series in Florida. I find myself in South Jersey. How do I survive going to a Phillies game in Marlins apparel?
Very carefully, but wear it.
Breaking ball, ground ball, behind the bag. Dobbs loads up. Gabby off the bag. Castro took a turn, but he'll hold there. And an error on Greg Dobbs. And so the Marlins have made 2 errors here in the 5th. And this is pushing Ricky's pitch total up to 79.
The one thing when Greg Dobbs started to play third that was his downfall was his arm, his throwing. Let's see if he gets the feet properly aligned. He just didn't get enough on that throw, and it extends the inning. I would say wear that Marlins gear. You know why? Because the Philly fans aren't afraid to wear it when they come here.
And I think Philly fans aren't that bad.
I don't know if they're going to embrace you, but they should respect you for wearing your Marlins gear. So wear it. We'll look for you in Philadelphia.
Randy St. Clair out to talk to Ricky Nolasco. It's been a long inning. Pitch inning. Started with a single by Hill. After one was out, Fukudome hit the ground ball that Infante got a glove on but didn't make a play on. Barney sacrifice fly. And then the big play of the inning, the line drive to left. Morrison pulled up on it and it skipped by him for an error. A hit and an error. And here's Pena now. Marlins really can't go into their shift with runners at the corners, and Pena up.
This is where Ricky, and he starts it well, has to just kind of take it upon himself and stop the bleeding here. Make some good pitches to Pena.
A walk and a single. Pena, born in the Dominican Republic. As a kid, he moved to Massachusetts, Haverhill, Massachusetts. Played his college baseball at Wright State and then up at Northeastern. Four years with the Rays, 4 very productive years.
Kind of talked about the ups and downs of Carlos Pena. He had some success with Detroit, then actually spent almost an entire year in AAA, the Red Sox organization. 23 home runs in 06 in AAA. Before going on that really good run with Tampa Bay.
Oh, 2. Did he go? Gary Darling, the third base umpire. (3-1) Cubs, top 5 here in Miami. First of 2. Just a 2-game series. Everybody in baseball with a couple 2-game series leading into interleague play this weekend. Struck him out. So Nolasco has to end it himself. But the Cubs push across 2. Some shoddy defense doesn't help Ricky Nolasco. Fifth inning, 3-1, Cubs and Marlins. Here at Sun Life Stadium. Ricky Nolasco against Ryan Dempster. Dempster walked him in the third, and he misses high to Nolasco. And it's 1-0. There's just something about pitching to the pitcher when you know you're just supposed to throw strikes. We saw that the other night in New York. Nunez falling behind Jonathan Neese.
Igarashi falling behind Burke Badenhauer.
Yep.
Really a tough night for Igarashi. He gets sent down after the game, giving up that game-winning hit to Burke Badenhauer.
Dempster's gone 3-1.
He's having trouble
on Nolasco.
Right now, I would like to see Ricky take. There's no reason for him to swing here. Make Dempster throw him 2 strikes in a row. And he was taking. Because you know you're going to get the same pitch.
He hit him. Oh. Wow.
Early in Ryan Dempster's career, as a young pitcher, when he came up with the Marlins, there were times that he would just get all out of whack, and you would have no idea where his pitches were going. And watching him throw to Ryan Dempster, or to Ricky Nolasco, that kind of reminded me of an early Ryan Dempster. But he's become a quality major league pitcher since that time.
Dempster was an all-star with the Marlins, an all-star with the Cubs. And here's Coughlin, who was lined out and struck out.
First time Ricky Nolasco's ever been hit.
So 3-1 Cubs. And Coughlin goes after the first pitch and hits it in the air to left. A look at the Marlins schedule brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Cubs tomorrow. Ford Fantasy Auction tomorrow. And then the Rays this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's off to the West Coast. So if you look at the upcoming schedule, you can live forward with Just for Men Hair Color. We get emails from Marlins fans, Cub fans, even a Braves fan email. David in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Is it ever going to stop raining on the East Coast? I'm rooting for you guys to lose so the Braves can move on up. Though I like your young squad. Very impressive and dangerous. Should be a factor all year. Not at all happy about it.
Well, the Braves have been playing great baseball. They're out in Arizona, so they haven't started tonight. The Braves have won 4 straight. Got a big day from Brian McCann when they gave him the day off.
Hanley homered to right. That's rolling, and Pena wasn't sure which way it was going to squirt, and it ended up headed towards the Marlins dugout. Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. This is a Hanley home run, his 3rd of the season. First inning shot. That's been it for the Marlins.
Now, I was a Cub fan that caught that. I wonder if they threw it back.
El Torben tweets, it's Haverhill, not Haverhill, for Carlos Pena's hometown.
Oh, okay.
Up in Massachusetts. Our apologies. How come our crack staffer, who's a Red Sox fan, didn't help us out on that one?
He wasn't listening.
Also, El Torben's mom's hometown. One-two coming from Dempster. Pitch misses outside.
Yeah, McCann the other day got the day off, pinch hit for David Ross, and tied the game with a home run. And then hit a 2-run shot. He stayed in the game to catch. Next time up, hit a 2-run shot, and the Braves beat the Astros 3-1.
back up the box into center field. Hanley was on that. And so the Marlins have runners at first and second. And here comes Logan Morrison.
We've seen Dempster work Hanley, breaking stuff away, and then tried to crowd him in. That fastball didn't stay in, and Hanley just torched right back up the middle.
Email from Pasco, Washington, from Dennis. Longtime viewer, huge Marlins fan. You mentioned once in a discussion with Jeff Conine that you got your starts with Brett Sports. I am currently a Brett Sports employee with the Tri-City Dust Devils. I'm curious to know how you got your start.
That's a good story you need to tell.
Especially with Logan Morrison up there.
Yeah.
Can't check his swing, and it's 0-1. Morrison grew up, of course, idolizing George Brett, who came from a long line of Bretts. There were 4 Brett brothers. They own a minor league hockey team and minor league baseball team up in Spokane.
John, Bobby, George, and Ken.
Yep. The late Ken.
The late Ken Brett.
And they also own some other minor league teams around the country. And that's where my first job was. Minor league hockey, minor league baseball in Spokane, Washington.
Ken Brett, a teammate in Philadelphia. And Ken Brett was in my wedding.
That was one of my biggest thrills in broadcasting, having broken in the minor leagues, working for the Brett brothers, getting a chance to call a national game on FX with Ken. Remember the game? It was Mets at Diamondbacks.
There's an opportunity. You don't always get it as a player when you make a mistake. Lomo made the error in left field. Not another run to come in. There's an opportunity. You can kind of make amends here at this at bat. So far he's ahead in the count. And it looks like this inning Dempster doesn't have quite the sharpness that he had through the first 4 innings. Mike Quaddy checking things closely.
You don't have great speed at second. That's Nolasco. Hanley's behind him at first. Lomo drives the ball to center field, hits it pretty well. Bird back, and just at the start of the track makes the catch. Nolasco smartly tags up, and Ricky gets to third. It's a good heads-up play by Ricky Nolasco.
Watch Ricky and see what he does. He looks at the ball. He does this on his own. He realizes that Bird is backpedaling on the warning track, and even with his speed, he's going to make it to third easily. So, yeah, heads-up play. Didn't really need Joe Espada, the third base coach, to tell him that. He saw it all the way in front of him.
Gabby Sanchez now with Hanley at first. Nolasco at third. And the Cubs appealing that Nolasco left early. Gabby into left field, base hit, a nose for the RBI. It's 26th of the season, and it's a 1-run game now.
Second time in a row Gabby's broken a bat. Remember, he broke his bat on the fly ball to left field his last time up, but he'll take this one. Base hit, an RBI. So Dempster's been running that 2-seamer in on his hands. Gabby got to it and brings home Ricky Nolasco.
Mark Riggins, the pitching coach for the Cubs, on his way out to the mound.
Long time in the Cardinal organization in the minor leagues, Mark Riggins. Ryan Dempster, though, he's over the years learned how to work out of this situation when maybe his stuff goes away. It's always something that takes a young pitcher a while to make that adjustment. We talked about from 05 through 07, Dempster, out of necessity, was the Cubs closer. He had 33 saves in 2005.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that was a closer for 3 years, and in the last 3 years has made over 30 starts.
Yeah, he was a closer 3 years, and then the first year after that, 08, he was 17-6.
Dobbs a line drive. That's a base hit into left center field and in the gap. That's going to score Hanley. Here comes Gabby. They will send him. He will score.
That's a nice bit of hitting by Greg Dobbs. We got the hopper. We got the dobber.
And the Marlins have the lead.
When he stays back and hits balls like this the other way, his 2 hits tonight up the middle the other way, this is just a picture-perfect swing. It's our checkers double of the game. Gets into that gap, and that's why it allowed Gabby to score all the way from first. Nicely done, Greg Dobbs. Another guy with an opportunity to make amends. Dobbs made the error, didn't allow a run to come in, but made the throwing error. He made up for it big time there.
Mike Stanton now twice has bounced up the middle, once for a single. Ground ball, base hit, left field. Here comes Dobbs. Soriano overran the ball, and the Marlins have another run. An RBI for Stanton. And the Marlins have a 4-run inning.
No error charge to Soriano. There was no hesitation in Greg Dobbs. Mike Stanton gets that. When he rolls over on a ball, the top spin is so hard, it gets through the infield as quickly as you're going to see a ball. Soriano boots it as he comes in. No error. Dobbs is running all the way. Got a good jump. Look at Joe Espada waving him home. And I think he would have scored anyway.
Jeff Samardzija, the former Notre Dame All-American.
The other thing about this Cubs ball club, Rich, and this is why it's so important here for the Marlins to take this lead. They get a lead, they get a little later into the game. They feel really good about Kerry Wood and Carlos Marmol at the back end of their bullpen.
Three consecutive RBI hits, all with 2 outs. Buck, Ramirez, Pena stays on the bag. The Marlins put a 4 spot up on the board and answer the Cubs and lead the ball game 5-3.
Béisbol está disponible en español vía Zap y es presentado por KFC.
In Miami tonight, the Marlins on top 5-3 in the 6th. Let's check in with Allison Williams. Allie?
Hey, Rich, Mother Nature has had quite an impact on this baseball season. Already 30 games have been postponed, rescheduled due to inclement weather, compared to just 21 all of last year. Now, of course, you can't control the weather. It makes things tough, but people should remember you can't really predict the weather either. 4 games canceled yesterday. One, the Marlins-Mets game, and it was for rain that was expected but never ended up falling. Same thing in D.C. It was a rainy morning in D.C., but it cleared up in the afternoon. However, they'd already canceled the Nationals-Pirates game. So it's interesting. Teams a little quick to pull the trigger, cancel games due to bad weather, but when it doesn't actually play out, it makes it a bit frustrating for fans who have to change their plans, and also for players who lose that much-needed day off later in the season. I know Edwin wasn't very happy with the way things played out in New York, said he would have much rather had Tuesday off. Felt like the conditions were pretty bad Tuesday. They shouldn't have played, and then end up not playing Wednesday when they certainly could have. So it's interesting, with all the technology and the radar out there, it seems to have a bit of a negative effect, maybe canceling games before they should.
Into right, Stanton makes a nice catch. Allison, thank you. That was bizarre yesterday, Tommy, and the fact that, you know, they worked on the field on Monday night, played during a drizzle, and then yesterday afternoon they expected rain.
It rained a little bit in the morning, and then that was about it.
And it was dry. We were at the ballpark.
I'll tell you the worst case scenario, though, is how that game has been rescheduled. Everybody had the assumption that because the Marlins go back 2 more times to New York, that it would be a doubleheader in one of those trips. But right after the All-Star break, the Marlins go to Chicago for 4 games. Then they were to come home, have an off day on a Monday, and then open up a series against San Diego. Now from Chicago, they'll fly to New York.
Infante makes the play.
Play a night game on July 18th in New York, and then come home at the wee hours in the morning to open up that series against San Diego.
We're not sure on television on that ball game yet, but we will let you know as soon as we find out.
But it was pretty bizarre, and I can't, to be honest with you, I can't fault the Mets. Any team would do the same thing. You got 3 or 4 of your main players on the disabled list, and you have a horrible forecast with a cell headed your way, you're probably going to call the game. And that's what the Mets did.
That's a Monday the 18th. I was a little surprised that it's been rescheduled as a night game in New York.
Yes, and not a day game.
And not a day game.
Because basically the Marlins get hosed, to put it quite bluntly, having to go from Chicago to New York for 1 game and play a night game and get home about 3 in the morning to open up a home series.
3 in the morning would be great.
Well, that won't be. It won't even be 3. Yeah, probably be later than that.
That ball smacked hard into right. Stanton will play it on a hop.
Ricky can't solve Coy Hill.
Can't get Coy Hill out. He's 3 for 3.
Well, the Marlins have gotten Ryan Dempster out of the game, though. With Hill's base hit, pitcher spot comes up. It's going to be Reed Johnson. So the whole thing was very bizarre in New York.
Reed Johnson will pinch hit for Ryan Dempster. Reed Johnson,
one of those journeyman guys, been around, solid player, 280 lifetime hitter
with the Dodgers last year. This is his 2nd tour with the Cubs. He was with them from 2008 and 2009. Fastball misses up. Marlins handed Nolasco a 1-0 lead in the first on the Hanley homer. Cubs tied it on the first of 2 RBIs from Darwin Barney. That in the 3rd. Cubs scored twice in the top of the 5th, but the Marlins in the bottom of the 5th with 4 runs, and that's where we sit. Until that, a deep drive to left, and that one is gone. And this game is tied again.
Well, the Marlins scored with 2 outs, and the Cubs quickly get back to tie it on a pinch hit Reed Johnson home run. Boy, you'd love to have seen Ricky go out there and have one of those shutdown innings after he was given the lead, but that wasn't the case. Reed Johnson with his second home run of the year. Got a fastball that didn't get in, and he adjusted, quick swing, hit it a long way.
He did. Fukudome now, who has 2 hits. And Velasco misses inside. Fukudome fouls it back.
3rd time in Reed Johnson's career he's hit a pinch hit home run.
Here's Edward Mujica. That's a strike. Full count now, 3-2. Velasco trying to get through this 6th inning. And it's in.
Ricky now has lost that sharpness the way we saw Ryan Dempster lose it.
Well, here's Barney, and he's 0 for 2, but he's driven in 2 runs.
He's finally up there without runners at 1st and 3rd.
Runner goes. Buck's throw on the bag and in time. Hanley tags out Fukudome, but the Cubs strike for 2. Reed Johnson ties it at 5. Time now for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. John Buck. Look at all the options. Good vision, good play. Frostbrewed Coors Light Freeze Cam.
Well, it's going to be a bullpen game now with the Cubs going to their right-hander, Jeff Samardzija. Got a live arm, good slider and splitter. The thing that he has always struggled with, a little bit better this year, is the control. Look at that, 24 strikeouts, but 20 walks. And in talking to some people around the Cubs, there's always been a time, is Samardzija going to be a starter or is he going to be a reliever? And I think the consensus is now work him out of the bullpen in these situations.
Of course, Samardzija, a guy that really had to decide between football and baseball, and he did play some minor league baseball while a wide receiver at Notre Dame. He's gone 3-0 on Infante, who leads it off here in the 6th inning. Scott Cousins is on deck for the Fish. So you've got 8, 9, and 1 against Samardzija. Both starting pitchers seemingly out of the game. With Infante trotting down to first, Cousins turns and looks into the dugout. And he's coming up. So Nolasco is out of the game. Dempster is out of the game.
You know, the other night we saw Scott Cousins in a pinch hitting role and pull off a nice hit and run. You wouldn't think about it too much here because you've got a guy out there not throwing strikes, so it's hard to put a hit and run on when you know the pitch might not be around the plate.
But he's still not throwing strikes.
Good job. Couple of hits, 3 walks, and a pinch hitting role. Tough role for a young player.
Samardzija's football career at Notre Dame, a school record 179 catches and 27 touchdowns. Tom Gatewood-like. That's an old name from Notre Dame football lore.
This isn't a Notre Dame player, but kind of a Chris Collinsworth-like.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
(2-0). That's out. And Cousins with the count at 3-0. Samardzija can't find the plate. There's a lefty getting loose. James Russell in the Cubs pen. Got Coughlin on deck. Mike Quaddy. A look of concern.
Again, a tough call for a manager to put some movement on a play like this, to have Infante on the run, because Samardzija has been all over the place with his pitches.
Cousins took a rip at it. Now let's see if Edwin starts him. 94 miles an hour on that fastball.
Pretty good chance that Scott Cousins is going to get the fastball. So you want to make sure, if you're Cousins, to make contact, if he knows Infante's on the move.
He's running. Swing and a miss, and the throw not in time. Infante steals the base.
Well, that was not a good swing. I'm not sure what Scott was thinking. He had to know that Infante was running, and it almost looked like he swung like it was a hit and run, which it wasn't, because the count was 3-2.
Marlin fans, present your Miccosukee Ultimate Reward Player Club Card at the stadium box office 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game. Get a $10 discount and up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game. Now Coughlin. Chris has hit somewhat of a dry patch here. He's 0 for 3 in this ball game. Coughlin an 0 for 4 on Monday night, and 1 for his last 16. Samardzija buries that one in the dirt. It's 2-0.
Right now, Samardzija has not thrown any secondary pitches for strikes, the slider or the splitter. It's usually a pitch, the splitter especially, that he likes to use when he gets ahead, but he hasn't gotten ahead.
Hanley's on deck, then Logan Morrison. 5-5 game. Kind of a back-and-forth battle between the Cubs and the Marlins. And Coghlan pops that one up. Down the line, Soriano can't quite get there. Guy that started his career as an infielder, a second baseman.
A power-hitting second baseman. 4 times a member of that 30-30 club. And he sneaked into the 40-40 club one year, that year with Washington, too.
Two and one. Carlos in Marathon. Does the manager have the authority to tell these hitters not to swing at the first pitch?
Well, you can flat out go and say, yeah, take a pitch. Sure, he has that authority.
Here's a 2-1. Hit on the ground and into right field, base hit. Here comes Infante. Stop sign is up. And the throw from right field would have had him. Fukudome, a very good outfielder, and he made a nice throw. Actually, a great throw to Coy Hill.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Rich, that Fukudome probably offensively hasn't lived up to his Japanese billing, the career he had in Japan. Defensively, though, a solid outfielder. In Japan, Fukudome won 4 Golden Gloves, is the way they call it. But yeah, came up, charged that ball well, and made a perfect throw.
He's not quite Ichiro, but he's pretty close.
But I mean, he won an MVP over there, a couple of batting titles. He just hasn't done that offensively here.
Here's Hanley now. So Samardzija against Hanley. So Carlos wants to know about swinging at the first pitch when a pitcher...
We don't get that question from Carlos if you swing at the first pitch and hit a home run.
Right. Breaking ball, strike. That's the first secondary pitch he's thrown for a strike.
First slider for a strike. Certainly not what Hanley was looking for.
Coghlan's at first. Big swing, 0-2.
Some hitters are better when they're aggressive early in the count. We've talked about some hitters who are okay when they have an 0-1 or an 0-2 count. But if you look at numbers tell you don't hit that well when the count's 0-1 or 0-2.
Pitch up and in.
So the whole essence of hitting is to try to get the count in your favor and then hopefully get the pitch that you're looking for.
Fonte and Coghlan at the corners. There's one out. Jeff Samardzija in relief of Ryan Dempster. Fastball, he struck him out, 97. Dialed it up and blew him away.
And the bottom line to put an exclamation point on Carlos's question, the Marlins this year, when they put the first pitch in play, are hitting .307. We saw the Cubs get a run in from third, 2 runs in from third with contact and less than 2 out. Now, albeit Samardzija just jacked it up to 97, but got Hanley Ramirez to strike out in that situation.
Hill out to talk to Samardzija with Logan Morrison coming to the plate. We've had a lot of John Baker questions tonight, and I know we'll get 10-15 questions on one topic. John Baker continues to rehab in Jupiter. And it sounds like Bake is catching and throwing and hitting. And the Marlins hope to have him back. I don't know if they have a timetable set, but it would be nice to be able to add Baker's left-handed bat to the mix.
He's actually moved on to Jacksonville.
Up to Jacksonville now. Morrison takes down low, 96. Samardzij's just kind of grunting and bringing it right now.
Bake in 4 games in Jupiter was 0 for 7, but he had 5 walks.
One 0 coming to Lomo. Breaking ball for a strike. Ball and a strike to Logan Morrison, who's 0 for 2. He's walked, struck out, and flied out. One.
There's that split. I think when he tones that down a little bit, he has better control. Kind of like Brian Sanchez when he throws that split, gets some good drop to it, and then can throw. Unlike Brian, now Samardzij can throw 97.
Coughlin runs, pitches low, and Chris ends up at second. Morrison got to see another fastball, and it's 2-2. So does Samardzij have enough confidence in the split to throw it again here, 2-2? Or will Morrison see another fastball?
I think he has the confidence to throw the split. But you can't look for it because you won't catch up to the 97-mile-an-hour heat. There's the split.
There's the ground ball out to the second baseman. Barney Fields throws to first in time. Pena almost stumbled off the bag. Samardzij gets out of trouble. Still 5-5. Five, seventh inning, Cubs and Marlins. It's almost here. Feel the buzz, the adrenaline, the energy. The new Marlins ballpark is a state-of-the-art venue unlike any other, with a retractable roof for air-conditioned comfort, all overlooking downtown Miami. The new Marlins ballpark opening next spring. Catch the excitement. Call 1-877-411-2012 or go to marlins.com. Marlins baseball. Catch our moves.
See the numbers on Edward Mujica, who comes in. We talked about, all right, it's a ball game that'll be left up to the bullpens. Samardzij got through his inning. Now it's up to Mujica to start the 7th.
Darwin Barney. And he'll be followed by Starlin Castro and Aramis Ramirez.
Ricky's lying, Rich, in his 6 innings. Gave up 9 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. A couple of walks and 5 strikeouts.
Broken bat. Hanley makes a leaping catch. And so Barney, an 0 for 3 night, though he has knocked in a couple. And here comes Starlin Castro.
Well, you have to have perfect timing on that because he broke his bat. Your initial thought is get up in a hurry. If you get up too soon, you don't make that play. So Foxmo has it perfectly, and so did Hanley.
Nestor from Miami has this question. In the new ballpark, there will be a retractable roof and windows in left field, whether open or closed. Will it affect the flight of the ball and possibly have an impact on how many home runs are hit? I think that's an answer that no one has right now.
Yeah, I think if you went to every new ballpark that has a dome and asked that, they couldn't give you the answer. You have to wait and see. Even ballparks that don't have domes. I think in Minnesota, their new outdoor park, you didn't know how the ball was going to carry, if it was going to be a hitter's park or a pitcher's park.
Yeah, the retractable roof ballparks, you're just not sure.
So I think a year of baseball, we'll have a pretty good idea after the first year, and then go from there.
Line drive, base hit, left field. And Starlin Castro has 2 hits tonight. We check in with Allison Williams. Allie?
Starlin Castro, the future for this Cubs organization, and just over a year ago he was pretty much unknown outside of the Cubs organization, and he really burst onto the scene last May. You can see he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated last week, and he had quite a debut. May 7th, 2010, just 20 years old. His first at-bat hit a 3-run home run, and then in his third at-bat hit a bases-loaded triple to set a new Major League record for the most runs driven in a debut game at 6. And he's, to make you feel kind of old, guys, he's the first player born in the 90s to make a big league roster. And he also, first World Series he remembers watching, 2003 between the Marlins and the Yankees. I wonder if he also saw that Cubs-Marlins series, guys.
He's at second base now, Allison. Castro moving up on the Aramis Ramirez base hit. Starlin Castro bat and batting gloves, both signed, will be on the little board tomorrow night on the fantasy auction. We got an email from Herb, who said he's headed up to the Marlins West Coast trip, San Francisco, LA, and Arizona.
Oh, great trip.
And met Craig in St. Louis and heard that there is a Cubs trip coming up in the auction tomorrow night. Now, he wants us to forward information, but Herb, if you're on your computer, just go to marlins.com/fantasy. There's a link on that page that'll give you all the details on all of the experiences and packages for tomorrow night. So Mujica against Pena takes a mighty rip, and it's foul. It's 0-1. Six innings for Ricky. Castro and Ramirez with base hits. Pena had a single in the 4th and a 1 for 2 night tonight. Cubs were in Cincinnati, where they lost yesterday. They made 4 errors, and all 7 runs that they gave up were unearned. It's the first time in 50 years that a Cubs team has given up 7 runs where they've all been unearned.
Well, Kerry Wood gave up 4 runs in an inning, all unearned, of course, but they were on his throwing error.
It's 0-2.
But Matt Garza pitched well, 6 innings. Got a no decision, and Kerry Wood was the loser.
Stan in Asheville have chimed in with an email. Walls in the new park to be 11.5 feet. Isn't that too tall to see great over-the-wall catches?
Not if you're Mike Stanton.
Mojica misses down low. And it's 1-2.
Well, you might see a few great over-the-wall catches, but you'd also see some cheap home runs if it was shorter.
See that number 10 on the sleeve there of Carlos Pena. Emailer wants to know what the number 10 is on the Cubs jersey, and that's in memory of Ron Santo, Infante, Hanley, Gabby Sanchez. Carlos Pena bounces into a double play. Edward Mojica works a scoreless seventh inning stretch here in Miami with the Marlins and the Cubs all tied at 5.
Beach towel. It's nice and soft. A Fox Sports Florida computer bag. A beach cap from Fox Sports Florida with your beach towel. A New Era, just like we wear, Florida Marlins cap. A wooden stick from Fox Sports Florida. Just kidding. Got a flash drive with that. Then you get a keychain from Ford, South Florida, Ford.com. And a baseball, authenticated and signed by me, Logan Morrison. Log on now to get your pledge packs.
Tomorrow night is the big auction. Log on to marlins.com/fantasy. There's a link for the pledge packs. You can buy them right now and get a jump on it. As well, you can buy tickets for tomorrow night. Also, on that website, marlins.com/fantasy, is a list of the big board items and the small board items.
The bottom line, Rich, we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow night, and we're also hopefully going to raise a lot of money for a good cause for the Florida Marlins Community Foundation that spreads its wealth around South Florida.
All of the money raised tomorrow night goes to the Marlins Community Foundation, and all of that money goes into South Florida youth, South Florida charities. When you read stories and see pictures of guys like Gabby Sanchez out in the community delivering Thanksgiving turkeys or Christmas gift bags to South Florida youth, the underprivileged, and those in need, that's where the money comes from. The money to buy those turkeys, to buy those Christmas presents.
And what was raised last year?
Last year we
about 90,000.
About 90,000. Last 2 years we've done about 90,000, and we're hopeful that you will participate. I bought a pledge pack. I pledged my $150 in New York, On my iPad, I bought a pledge pack.
You did. I watched you. As you got your credit card out.
I did. So I'll have the beach towel, the Logan Morrison baseball, New Era cap, briefcase, all that stuff. So we'll see you tomorrow night. 5-5 here, bottom 7. Samardzija, this is up to Gabby Sanchez. Neither starter will figure in this decision. And neither starter, I think, will look back fondly at this start. For Nolasco, 6 innings, 5 runs, 4 of them earned. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. For Ryan Dempster, 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs.
Yeah, each starter had kind of a wobbly 5th inning. Kind of had an inning where it just wasn't there for him.
Dempster threw 90 pitches. Nolasco threw 102.
We've seen both starters much sharper. Ryan Dempster came into the game in his 4 career starts. He's appeared in 14 games against the Marlins, but 4 as a starter. And as a starter, an 0.95 ERA.
3-2.
Good battle by Gabby. When you know a guy has 97 miles an hour and then he throws you a 3-2 slider and you still get a piece of it, that's good hitting to just stay alive. There's the difference in the speed range. Those 74s are usually the splits that Samardzija throws.
And you can see that now he's able to throw his slider and his forkball for strikes.
Another slider, which when he first came in the game, he couldn't have done that because he didn't have the confidence in that pitch.
Up comes Greg Dobbs. John Grabo, veteran left-hander in the Cubs bullpen, is up.
Greg Dobbs 6 for his last 15 now. Had a 4 for 12 road trip and 2 for 3 tonight.
Fouls that one back. His 2-run double was the highlight in that 5th inning. The Marlins had 3 RBI hits in a row. Gabby Sanchez single, the 2-run Dobbs double, and a Mike Stanton RBI hit.
I guarantee you Dobbs has gotten a lot of pinch hits against the Cubs. He hadn't been in a lot of games, 18 career games against the Cubs and 35 at bats. So you know a lot of those were pinch hit appearances. Yet he came in with a 371 career average against Chicago.
Two outs. Here comes Stanton. We got to it just as we went to break in the top of the 7th. One of the emailers wanted to know about the 10 on the Cubs uniform. That the number for Ron Santo, whose name, of course, just intertwined with the Cubs as a player and as a very colorful broadcaster.
A beloved broadcaster, a tremendous player. Cubs fans and non-Cubs fans just loved Ron Santo. He battled a lot in his life after he finished playing. He played as a youngster with diabetes.
Yeah, he was one of, there are guys that play with diabetes now, and the technology and medical and advancements are so much further along that make it so much easier to do. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a lot easier than it was when a guy like Ron Santo played with it.
In the last few years, broadcasting with Pat Hughes on WGN radio, he had both of his legs amputated and had prosthetic legs and would walk around, and just a joy to be around, and he is certainly missed.
Great documentary, and I think it was done by his son.
Yes, I think you're right.
A couple of years back, if you're into movies and you want to know more about Ron Santo. 3-0 pitch. And Mike Stanton walks.
I guarantee you right there, Mike Stanton had the green light, 3-0.
JM Lexus gives us leaders of the game. Mike Stanton at first. age 21 or younger, active home run leaders. Stanton with his 30, Jason Hayward with 25. The rest of the 21 or younger crowd has just 12. JM Lexus price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Smarger's thrown 40 pitches already.
He really didn't look like he wanted any part of Mike Stanton, even with 2 out and nobody on base.
Buck has a base hit in 3 trips. John hits a 1-hopper to Starlin Castro from shallow left. He'll get Stanton at second. On to the 8. Still 5-5.
It was kind of fun to see the way things started with Hanley Ramirez hitting his 3rd home run of the year, an opposite field shot. Put the Marlins on the scoreboard quickly. In the 5th inning, the young shortstop, Starlin Castro, got himself a base hit. It was a hit and then misplayed by Logan Morrison. That made it 3-1. Gabby Sanchez and the Marlins put together a nice rally. He drives in a run. How about Greg Dobb going the other way with a 2-base hit and 2 RBIs? 2 runs came in there, and Mike Stanton capped it all off with an RBI base hit. The Marlins were looking pretty good there. 5-3 lead, but all of a sudden a pinch hitter, Reed Johnson, takes one deep off Ricky Nolasco, and just like that, it's a 5-5 tie, and that's the way we are right now.
So the 8th inning, that one is driven deep off the bat of Marlon Byrd, and the game is untied. The Cubs have a 6-5 lead. Just the 2nd homer of the season from Marlon Byrd. And Edward Mujica, in his 2nd inning in relief, gives up a long ball to start the 8th.
But you know, they're telling us before the game that Marlon Byrd hadn't had an extra base hit in 10 games. And it looked like he got that splitter, the fork ball that just hung there from Mujica, and hit it a ton.
For Mujica, the 2nd homer he's given up this year. And Soriano takes a strike. Been a back-and-forth ball game, that's for sure. Soriano into left field. That's a base hit. And the Cubs have a runner at first. Coy Hill, their catcher, is scheduled up next.
Well, the Cubs have 13 hits in this one.
Mike Dunn in the bullpen. Of course, this is a Chicago-Miami night for everybody down here in South Florida and up in Chicago for that matter, with the Heat at halftime right now against the Bulls. The Cubs have a 6-5 lead over the Marlins here in the 8th inning. Tony Campana.
And he can fly, we've been told, so be careful. Just got called up the other day.
Hill has been outstanding for the Cubs tonight. 3 times he's singled. There goes Campana. Buck's throw is not in time. Campana's safe.
And he didn't waste any time either to take off. So Campana has not been in the major leagues all that long. He picks up his first stolen base. He had a base hit the other day. He's 1 for 1. And there's his first steal.
And he was in there. Coy Hill, 3 hits and 3 runs scored out of the 8th spot in the Cubs order. Now he's going to try to move Campana up. Buck picks it up, fires to first in time. So you got a lot of speed now at third base. The pitcher spot is coming up.
The Cubs have done a few of the little things. A couple of sacrifice bunts. In this one, they had the 2 at-bats by Barney with a runner at third. He got the runs in each time. 1 on a little chopper, 1 on a sac fly.
Blake DeWitt. It's a pinch hit. Edwin Rodriguez going to go to his lefty Mike Dunn. So it'll be Dunn coming in. We'll see if Mike Quade sticks with DeWitt. Cubs by a run. Here's a Marooney call to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
By Home Depot, doing more on defense. Leaping catch by Hanley. Home Depot doing more on defense.
Well, the managerial wheels are turning here in the 8th inning. Blake DeWitt was set up. Edwin went down to the bullpen to get Mike Dunn to come in. And Mike Quade decided to counter with a right-handed batter, Jeff Baker.
Well, here comes Baker now, the former Colorado Rocky.
The former Clemson Tiger.
He was a great Clemson Tiger. Was part of that World Series team for the Rockies in '07. And he absolutely feasts on left-handed pitching. .471 against lefties this year.
Wow. And the infield with the speed at third and with the game as it is, a 1-run lead for the Cubs, the infield is in.
Dunn's pitch on the inside corner.
Hey, there were those splits you were talking about, Rich.
Ground ball, runner comes home. Dobbs throw to the plate. Buck tag, safe. Buck thought he had him. Campana got by him. Man, that's some speed.
Well, we told you that the youngster can fly. And he just did it right there. He pinch ran, stole a base, went to third on the sack, chopper to third. Here's the throw, and he's safe. Tremendous speed and a perfect slide just to get past John Buck. A little surprised John didn't block the plate a little more with that left leg. But you have to make sure where the throw is coming first.
So the Cubs make it 7-5. Ukadome runs up, takes a strike. Baker gets an RBI on the fielder's choice. And the Marlins bullpen has coughed up a couple of runs here in the 8th. Dunn misses low. A ball and a strike. And it's 2-1. Continuing our emails, bat question from Nino in Plantation. Excuse me, this is from Jay in Pembroke Pines. Back in the days when he played, Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, he references, we're always taught to hit with the trademark up. Not so much today. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Are all the broken bats because of this? Has there been a change in the bats?
Well, there has been a big change in the bats. Years ago, they were heavier. There's a little more wood involved. I don't know. As a kid, I remember being told that to always hit with the trademark up. I don't think it means anything now.
Here's the 3-2. I always thought that trademark up meant that you hit with the grain.
Yeah, it depends. A lot of bats at grain. I mean, you get different when you start getting a lot of bats as a professional. You know, you can sort out the good ones and the bad ones. Some have better grain than others. That was back when there was only one bat company. And now there are many.
Grain is a terrible thing to waste, Tommy. That one fouled off of Buck. David in Wellington, as you see the hopper in the bullpen. Tommy playing in a baseball tournament next weekend. One of the teams is the Tommy Hutton Heat. What's up with that?
That is a youth team. We put together a number of youth teams that kind of branch off our baseball academy up in Palm Beach Gardens.
Ukadome swings and misses and strikes out.
Our general manager, Brian Justine, does a great job with the kids, not only in the camps, but also in the travel.
Here is Darwin Barney. We've had a few questions about players changing numbers tonight. One is from John in Fort Lauderdale. Why did Greg Dobbs change his number from 19 to 29? And what about Anibal Sanchez going from 36 to 19? And Tommy, why did you change your number?
Well, let's see. Why did I change? I, for the most part, wore number 14, but one time in the middle of the year when I was traded to Montreal, there was another player, an outfielder, Sam Mejia, wore that. So I think I had number 37, and then the next year Mejia was gone, so I got 14 back.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. In on the hands of Barney, and Infante makes the catch.
That was way back in the day before you gave Rolex watches for a number.
That was back when you guys couldn't afford Rolex watches. Marlins have work to do. Home run. That was part of a 2-run 8th, and the Cubs have built a 7-5 lead going into the bottom of the 8th here in Miami tonight. Our poll question, a Tickets of America poll question: biggest Cubs disappointment? And Marlin fans are piling on right now on D. 789-789. Standard texting rates apply.
Well, Tony Campana, who was a key factor in that inning last inning with a stolen base. Speed came in from third. He stays in the game and plays left field. And the new pitcher's a big left-hander, 6'7", Sean Marshall, who was absolutely tremendous last year in 80 games, a 2.65 ERA and a 7-5 record. And he's off to a terrific start this year. A little bit of everything. Comes at you with a slider, a fastball. Throw the change up, a curve.
Marshall misses high. He was the third lefty to be warming up in the bullpen, because earlier tonight James Russell was up, John Grabo was up, and now Marshall comes in the ballgame. That's quite a luxury to have 3 lefties.
Yeah, there are some managers who really like to have 3 lefties. Two is fine. And a lot of it depends on, really the division you're in, how many left-handers the other teams have in your division. Of course, you get to this point of the game and you start looking toward the 9th inning, and you're going to have to face Carlos Marmol.
Carlos Marmol has been devastating this year. There's a great article in Sports Illustrated this week talking about loogies, lefties who only get, I don't know what it stands for, but I will in a second. But it's essentially lefties who only get one guy, and somehow they
Randy Choate.
No, well, yeah, he's one of them. But the 2 guys that have done it the longest play on the same team in Texas: Darren Oliver and Arthur Rhodes. Lefty, 1-out guy.
I'm glad you explained your definition of loogie.
Lefty, 1-out guy. He's a lefty, 1-out guy now.
And he has been tremendous this year.
And if you are a lefty one-out guy and you continue to get lefties out, you can stay in the game for a long time. Marshall's not just a lefty one-out guy, though, as he proves getting out Infante on a nasty breaking ball. Here comes Wes Helms.
We always talk to Edwin to get an idea of who's available and who isn't. Sometimes an opposing manager might not give us all of that information. We didn't really check with Mike Quaddy about it. This would be an inning that you could see Kerry Wood, but he did pitch that inning last night, took the loss in their game against Cincinnati. So he goes with Sean Marshall here.
Wes Helms takes inside. You saw Pat Listash in the dugout, the bench coach for the Cubs. Helms pinch hitting. Breaking ball is low, and it's 2-0. For Helms this year, as a pinch hitter, he is 3 for 12 with a couple of RBI, hitting just .216. He fouls that 2-0 pitch back. It's 2-1. Finishing up with some emails. We've had a lot of them tonight. We appreciate all the emails and the tweets. Matt in Jacksonville. Can't make it down enough to buy season tickets next year. When will individual seats go on sale for next year in the new stadium? We had a chance today to talk to some of the folks that are selling tickets in the new stadium.
Chad Johnson, Andrew Silverman.
And those individual game seats are a little bit of ways. The one thing we learned that if you want an opening night ticket, if you want to go to opening night in the new ballpark, you will have to, in most cases, you'll have to buy a season ticket or a partial season plan to get that opening night ticket. There will be some, but it'll be very few individual for opening night. That's going to be a hot ticket.
Yeah, just from what we were told, the high-end seats, the nice seats, most of them are sold. But they're still, I was amazed to hear you can get a great seat, and with the 37,000, you're gonna have a good angle, good view for. You get a great seat for $10 or $15.
It's
and
the highest.
You can't say that at other sporting events.
Well, it's the highest percentage of lower bowl seats in baseball in the new stadium, and so you're right. I mean, a $15 ticket is going to get you a lot closer to the field than any ballpark around.
The bottom line, though, don't wait, because you won't get as good a seat as you'd like then.
3-2.
Good battle by Wes.
Anyways, Matt also wants to know, he bought a pledge pack and never got an email confirmation on his order. And we checked, and I bought one online. I did my pledge. And you get a thank you page after you purchased, but you will not get an email confirmation. So, Matt, if you bought one, thank you. And don't worry, your credit card will be processed. The auction is tomorrow, and it'll be in the mail in the next day or two up to Jacksonville.
Mike Quaddy probably not real pleased at Marshall walking to pinch hitter Wes Helms. 9-pitch at bat for Wes.
So now it's Coughlin against the lefty with one out. Chris takes outside. Ben wants to know on Twitter, due to the rain out, when will JJ pitch next?
I believe he's on track to pitch Sunday. That'd be a great matchup. Josh Johnson and James Shields on Sunday. Javier Vasquez, David Price on Saturday, and Friday night, Anibal Sanchez and Andy Sonnenstein.
We were right about Shields, who's been hot, and JJ Sunday against the Rays at 110. All games on that series will be on Sun Sports. Dwayne Statz and Brian Anderson, along with Todd Callis, will bring you all the action on Sun Sports.
Do you think we can tweet Dwayne Statz during the game?
Coughlin got jammed and pops it up. Castro makes the catch. And there are 2 outs. I don't know that. I don't know if Dwayne is on Twitter. I'll bet you Todd Callis is. I'm sure Brian Anderson is probably there, but TK probably is a guy you can get a hold of. Well, it didn't take long for Mike Quaddy to pop out of the dugout. He didn't want the lefty to face Hanley Ramirez. The masked Marmol comes over the top rope. Carlos Marmol, who has been nasty this year, comes into this ball game. Here's our Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck, or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
It's a 2-run game in Miami tonight. The bottom of the 8th inning. There are 2 outs. Carlos Marmol enters for the Cubs.
No, this guy is just flat out tough. The collective roster of the Marlins is 1 for 19 against Marmol with 9 strikeouts. The only Marlin hitter that's had a little success, and it's a small sample size, is John Baker, who's 2 for 3 against Marmol. But everybody else on the roster 1 for 19.
And we've determined that Baker is in Jacksonville right now, so he's of no help.
So big slider, hard fastball, some changeups, but just made Hanley look bad on that last slider.
Marmol, an all-star in 2008, 38 saves last year, and a slender ERA of 2.55, and sliders of death. And that was a pretty good one.
And over the last couple of years, because there was a time as a right-handed hitter you didn't want to dig in against Marmol because he was all over the place, but he has been able to channel that. Look at pitch number 3, was pretty good.
Hanley got that slider, hits it to right. Fukudome makes the catch. And the Marlins are done in the 8th. The Cubs hang on to a 2-run lead, 7-5. 7-5. Edwin Rodriguez and the Marlins have had a couple of leads slip away in this one. Burke Badenoch comes into the ball game. And Starlin Castro, Aramis Ramirez, and Carlos Pena coming up in the ninth. Badenoch, of course, had a starring role the other night as he got the win and knocked in the game winner.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I guess a lot of the fans here didn't know that. A little disappointed when Badenoch was announced. You would have expected a little bit of applause for what he did the other night.
$14,422 are here. Hopper throws a strike. And one of our Twitter Nation tells us that Todd Callis maintains at Sun Sports Rays during games. Has good updates. And he also lobs in a exceptionally rare weekend off for us, and it is. Castro pokes it to right, hits it pretty good. Stanton runs it down and makes the catch. So we haven't had our angry emailer.
No, we haven't.
Of the night.
Maybe fans are a little complacent tonight. A lot of love, not much anger tonight.
I know the picture that you could put with the angry emailer. That's the one that went viral on YouTube. The upset fan at Citi Field.
That could be our traditional angry email face.
That's a great idea. We should make that part of the angry email. Usually it's the smiley upside down smiley face. Yeah. Modicon, I'm told. Ramirez with a couple of hits. Ricky Nolasco 6 innings, 5 runs. Reed Johnson with a big 2-run homer against Ricky. That may be the biggest hit of all for the Cubs in this ball game.
Phillies have already won their game. 2-1 win against the Rockies. Cole Hamels, 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 run.
See, that's got to feel pretty good for Reed Johnson. You pinch hit in the middle of the game, not the end, in the middle.
You don't stay in a double switch or anything.
You hit a 2-run homer, you jog around the bases, and then you sit down for the rest of the night. And everybody comes by.
And you go, okay, who's going to interview me? Home TV, visiting TV, maybe radio.
I wonder if I'll get a gift certificate out of it. Right down the middle, Ramirez is waiting on something, and it wasn't that. Carlos Pena coming up. Katie on Twitter Nation says, I like being called Twitter Nation rather than Tweeps. Some say twerps or tweeps like peeps. Matt wants us to now form a metal band called Sliders of Death.
That's what they had in the press room tonight.
That's true. The press food was essentially sliders. And you're right. An apt description.
But Carlos Marmol has a slider of death.
Carlos Marmol and his sliders of death will be appearing, it would seem, in the bottom of the ninth. Hopper trying to get to that bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, Marmol trying to get a 4-out save. Came in and got Hanley on a fly ball.
Badenhop trying to get a backdoor slider.
Yeah, tried to sneak it in. I don't think to Pena you'd want to throw that same fastball that he caught Ramirez with.
No.
Looking.
No. I would agree on that.
Tried to change up.
Change up, got him. So the Marlins are going to have to get to Marmol and are down 2 going to the bottom of the ninth. Lomo, Gabby, and Greg Dobbs. Baseball brought to you by Marooney, South Florida. When you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-MAROONEY. By Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Chase, deposit checks from your smartphone with quick deposit. Take a step forward and chase what matters. Marlins down to their last 3 outs. Cubs closer Carlos Marmol on the mound. Logan Morrison, Gabby Sanchez, Greg Dobbs. In a game that has meandered throughout this Wednesday night, Marmol misses inside with a fastball. Well into the 3rd hour of play.
Talking about pace of games, this has gone beyond the average. I think, what's the average? About 2 hours and 50 minutes?
2:50. Which is down. Major League Baseball has been able to get the average game time down to about 2:50.
And if they eliminated the Red Sox-Yankees, they would get it down to about 2:35.
There's a breaking ball.
I can't say that, though, tonight. This one's kind of lingered beyond that 2:50.
Marmol would like to speed it up and finish it.
And the Marlins just want to get a base runner. Get a base runner, all of a sudden you get the tying run to the plate.
And you got some big bats coming up with Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton. You got another left-handed bat, Greg Dobbs, between that pair.
But opposing hitters hitting just 138 against Marmol.
Yikes.
So if you do it against him, it's going to be tough. And there's a 3-1 slider.
Yeah, both of the strikes in this at bat have been sliders.
Well, we've seen him get in that mode where he can't throw a fastball for a strike, and he keeps throwing the slider.
Morrison pulls it down the line and fair. And Lomo chugging to second with a double. And he got a slider.
Well, a good start to the 9th inning. And a good approach, a good AB. You put all that together, you get a little hanging slider. And Lomo had a good swing. He got it by a Gold Glover. Carlos Pena has won a Gold Glover. Watch Lomo run, and then watch him take his turn and watch him pick up the third base coach right there. And right about there, he realized Joe Espada said, okay, stay at second. Your run doesn't mean anything.
Gabby Sanchez now. Fastball. Gabby just missed it. Two guys calling for it. Bird makes the catch. Boy. He'd love to have that one back again.
Yeah, he did just miss it. That tells you that he put aside that slider. He went up there thinking, okay, I'm going to see a first pitch fastball. He got it. He just got under it, though. Good pitch to hit. Good swing. Just got under it. And you're right. Would like to have it back.
Now Dobbs, who has 2 hits, 2-run double, was back in the 5th inning. You got Mike Stanton on deck.
Another fastball.
Dobbs went after it, 93 miles an hour. You know, he does throw slider after slider after slider, but his fastball can live in the mid-90s.
Oh, yeah. This will be a fun matchup with Mike Stanton, too, after Greg Dobbs. I don't think Mike will see that fastball as much.
Good sharp break on that. A back foot slider. Stanton has 2 hits and 3 trips. Morrison's at second.
It's a slider that's devastating because of his delivery. He really slings it up there. It has a lot of break to it. It's a big breaking slider.
Yeah, it's interesting because as a hitter, it's one thing to identify fastball or slider. But Marmol's is so good that once you identify it, you still have to hit it.
Yeah.
And that's not automatic.
And here's another reason he's tough. He's allowed 2 runs or more only once in his last 36 appearances.
2-2.
So
Fastball.
Marlins
outside.
trying to do that here. Get 2 runs or more.
All right, he misses with the fastball.
I think he comes back with a slider.
Stanton waits. Three-two. Slider got him.
Boy, the bottom just fell out of it.
So here's that matchup now. Stanton against Marmol. This is a real test for Mike.
Yeah, it's a test for any hitter, let alone a 21-year-old making adjustments. But he's had some good at-bats tonight.
Slider for a strike.
A lot of times that's that get me over slider. He starts it at your left thigh and lets it drop in for a strike. Then it'll start expanding and going away a little bit.
Right-handed hitters against Marmol this year, 2 for 32. That's about 0.50. ball and a strike. Morrison's at second. There's 2 outs here in the bottom of the ninth. Stanton got the fastball. 1-2.
That was heat against heat. Heat against power. Fastball there, up a little bit, but boy, you got to get to it. Mike swung through it.
He was sitting on the slider.
Yeah.
Let's see what he gets. 1-2. Marmol. Slider, fly ball, center field. Bird is there. And he makes the catch, and the Cubs win the first of this brief 2-game series. They come from behind twice in this ball game, and they beat the Marlins. Carlos Marmol nails it down, and the Cubs snap a 3-game losing streak and hand the Marlins a loss here tonight. 7 runs, 13 hits for the Cubs, 5 runs, 10 hits, and 2 errors for the Fish. Marlins Live is around the bend.